I'm WCIA 3 meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We interrupt your programming now for a new tornado warning. This is for parts of Morgan County for areas to the south and southwest of Jacksonville. A tornadic storm now located near Whitehall on US 67, carrying off to the north and east at about 35 miles an hour. And that will be bringing it into parts of Scott and Morgan County here over the next 15 to 20 minutes. This particular warning does not include the city of Jacksonville. It does, however, include areas south of Jacksonville towards Murrayville. And that's primarily where we'll be focused with this coverage now, as this tornadic storm now coming up US 67 with some rotation on it, moving to the north and east at 35 miles an hour. If we draw a straight line on this storm is on some railroad tracks. It will come close to the city of Jacksonville, perhaps the south and east side, and eventually into perhaps eastern Morgan and north and western Sangamon County. That may happen here in the next half an hour or so, so we will stay with wall-to-wall coverage for this new tornado warning that's been issued for parts of Morgan, Scott, and Greene counties in the area. This is not our only storm that we're watching here. It is, however, the only storm that we have warned with a tornado warning at this point. There's a couple other little clusters that we're watching along the Interstate 55 corridor. Lots of folks here from Champaign south and eastward towards Vermilion County, Effingham, down to Casey, Toledo, Cumberland, Shelbyville. Not seeing anything right now. And some of those areas may not see anything at all. We are watching, though, another cluster of storms in Livingston County. No warning in place for there, but we'll talk about them real quick. And we do have a photo from Chatsworth I'd like to show in just a minute here. These storms are the storms that were earlier warned, particularly the one north and east of Chatsworth, earlier warned for a tornado down near Colfax and Cooksville. No warning on it now. This is carrying off to the north and east. Piper City sits here. Cayberry and Kempton sits here. There's Cullum. Stell sits right there. There's Ashcombe. US 24 sits right here, and we've got 116 that sits right there towards Ashcombe. Those storms carrying into north and western Iroquois County. We will watch them closely. The National Weather Service has indicated that they're monitoring some area of rotation with that storm, but not immediately expecting a tornado. There's a number of spotters that are on the ground with this storm at this time. Other storms in the area, too, we're looking at these storms here from Fairbury, points to the south and west, as well as near Lexington and from Bloomington. Each one of these storms very much has a little bit of a rotation in them, and it won't be obvious on radar that they look impressive, but with the atmosphere today, plenty of wind shear, the instability, and a lot of that moisture in place, that's going to allow for these storms to become tornadic with little effort here into the region. If we have that Chatsworth photo, I'd like to bring that full screen now if someone has that and can let me know in the back. That photo, there was a report of a funnel cloud. We've shared that on our Facebook page, and that's not the right photo here. This was a new photo that I texted in. Those are photos that are old from yesterday. I'd like to get rid of those, and that photo came in from Andrew Pritchard. Lauren, if you see that photo from text message, and I can try and bring it also into the Apple TV here in a second. Let's go ahead and bring Max 1 up while I pull Apple TV up here. We'll show you the graphics. This is that tornado warning that we're watching now, and it continues for parts of Morgan County, the only warning we have on the board. But it's certainly worth watching. That storm ahead of the line and needs to be watched very closely as it moves to the north and to the east. All right, let's come back to me here on the screen, and I'll show you the tornado, I should say the funnel cloud report. This was reported near Chatsworth. You'll notice that the ground is here. This is that funnel cloud aloft. That came in at about 1 o'clock near Chatsworth. That storm now is in northern Ford County. No tornado warning on it. Some weak rotation. Spotters have their eyes on it and are monitoring. There was an indication that it got about halfway down here to the ground. If we want to bring the photo full, that way we can get a more impressive view of it. A little hard to see sometimes with the lights in the screen here. I'd like to see that. Again, this came from Andrew Pritchard. He's a well-respected storm chaser and meteorologist here in the Champaign-Urbana area, and caught this photo, and we got it from him at about 1 o'clock. No warning for that particular storm, but I suspect we will see more storms like this producing problems in the area. I will also show you real quick, this is Interstate 55 near Funks Grove. Again, from what we know at this point, Interstate 55 remains closed southwest of Bloomington, from the Shirley exit to the Mclane exit, and that's going to cause a lot of travel problems. traffic really backed up northbound in particular. It may be that the northbound lanes may have one of either the north or southbound may have opened back up. I don't have that information. From what we are able to tell, it remains closed in that area from all of that damage that has occurred from the flooding in that area. And let's go ahead and pull the storm tracker full also. This is where Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy is. We don't have to talk to him. I like his shot, though. He is out in parts of DeWitt County right now, and I can check his location here. Looks like he is very close to Farmers City on the east side of Highway 54. Looking at some water over the roadway. In fact, Farmers City last night got quite a bit of rain in there. He's out getting some footage and taking reports. His shot coming now live from DeWitt County near Farmers City, where flooding has been a concern and remains a concern for those areas here for the foreseeable future. I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. Let's bring the graphics back full here and show you what we're looking at area-wide. Of course, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy is in the field. In the storm tracker, we've got meteorologist Jack Gerfin and Amelia Henderson, both covering digital. We're all watching today because the concern is there that we may get some more activity, and that does appear to be the case now with this new tornado warning for southwestern Morgan County. Let's talk more specific about this warning. It's not quite into Morgan County, but likely at this point in Jacksonville, the Jacksonville area. Let me check some information here. The Jacksonville area may stay just south of it. There still is some rain and storms, and we may have to watch that next cell located close to this Jacksonville right up here. Allow me to come full screen, and I'll point out some things for you. First off, this red polygon you see is the southwestern part of Morgan County. Here's Illinois 267, Illinois 967 through Woodson. Jacksonville sits here. You've got the lake in the southeast side of town, the prison on the east side. US 67 carries you south towards Greene and Jersey counties. Winchester is back here. This is mainly right now for Murrayville as it moves to the north and east. The storm's still in Scott County, but on that track here, Murrayville and Woodson, we're watching for you in particular. It may come close to Nortonville as well, and then eventually we'll cross 104 somewhere along and east of Jacksonville near Interstate 72 on its current trajectory. No warning extended for that, but we will continue to monitor that with this tornado warning now for parts of Morgan County in the area. I'm going to show you real quick some of the rotation that we're seeing in radar. This here is a look at reflectivity. We're looking at the brighter colors showing a more intense, a heavier signature for rain, maybe some small hail. And that's really good for intensity of storms. When we look at velocity, though, we're looking at how those particles are moving. And it is very obvious at this point that there's rotation very close to Rood House here. See the greens and the reds. The greens are going towards the radar. That's up in Lincoln. The reds are coming away from radar. And that rotation right here now, north of Rood House on the Scott-Greene County line, is carrying up US 67 into parts of Morgan County here in the next 15 minutes. I think Murrayville, at this point, we'd like you in your storm shelters, taking shelter from the storm. A fairly impressive, one of the better signatures that we've had all day of that storm now heading towards Murrayville and southwestern Morgan County. We'll take another look here, and I've got the chance to look not only at our Lincoln radar, but also our St. Louis radar, and see if we can detect any debris being lofted. What we look for in this is how the particles in the atmosphere are correlated. Right now we see a lot of red colors. The red color indicates a high degree of correlation. All rain, maybe some small hail. That's it. When we start to see blues come on, and if it's located correctly in the storm, that's an indication that the radar beam is sampling particles that are not correlated. What could that be? It could be damage, trees and buildings, shingles, 2x4s, other things flying through the air. I don't have the indication at this point that there's any damage happening. Still, though, because we don't see damage, doesn't mean there's not a tornado down. A tornado has to be down first to produce damage, and it has to hit something. So there still could be, at this point, based on what I'm seeing on radar, a tornado down near Rood House, moving to the north and east on US 67 towards Murrayville, and eventually in the general direction of south and east parts of Jacksonville in the area. We'll hit the reset button again. We are watching multiple different storms here. This one is the only tornado-warned storm and is the only one that we have here for central Illinois at this point. Remember, the tornado watch does go until 7 o'clock tonight. A lot of opportunity at a lot of time here. It's 1:35. This is our second tornado warning of the day. And this storm has some real estate where there's favorable ingredients ahead of it, too. So we've got to watch that, but we're watching primarily these areas in yellow. If you've gotten a tornado watch for your county, If we could bring that full screen, there's a couple of things to note. First off, that is scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now. And you'll see those counties if you're watching us on TV. If you're not watching us on TV, you're on our digital platforms, Facebook, Twitter, the apps also. Those platforms are not pulling that crawl, but you turn on CBS, we're there now. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, of course. You can see the information there. Those yellow counties, you got that notice first. If you have the WCIA 3 weather app, that's an important app to have. If there's alerts in your area, you get them. And it's important to note here for folks that if you haven't downloaded it yet, you can not only stream our coverage there, but you can get those alerts as we think there's probably going to be some more through the day today, the way things are shaking out already. Let's talk a little bit more here about the tornado warning, and this primarily is for our friends down in southwestern Morgan County. If you're under a tornado warning, remember, proceed to a safe place immediately. We encourage everyone to do that. That is a site-built structure and is a sturdy structure here. No mobile homes, no manufactured homes, no cars. We encourage you to leave those and head to a sturdy structure. If you're south of Jacksonville driving on US 67, stop at a gas station or nearest convenience store and you can get into shelter there. They've got sturdy shelter. Those refrigerated places are great places to go. In, down, and up, what we preach. Inside, most interior room, as many walls between you and the outside of your home as possible. Down as low as you can, covering up with a blanket, pillows, mattress, whether you're down in a basement, down in a crawl space, you're down in an interior closet, hunkering down as low as you can and between as many walls as you can from the outside of your home will give you the best chance here for shelter. We also mentioned up. The word up also means covering up your head. A bicycle helmet, a great thing to have, as a bicycle helmet protects your head. Oftentimes during severe weather, when there's tornadoes, the most common source of injuries or fatalities comes from head trauma. Using a helmet on your head. Get the kids' bicycle helmets. Put them on. Put one on for yourself also. Is a great way to stay safe and stay weather aware here for this. Here's a look at tornado safety. Of course, we think we may use this for more counties moving forward. The worst place to be, of course, cars, mobile homes, or under a highway overpass. I understand some folks have, watched TVs and movies and seen them shelter under highway overpasses, and they think that's a safe place to be. That is not a safe place to be. The winds actually accelerate under a highway overpass, and that's why we want you to keep moving down the list to a better source of shelter. There's no places down that way, from what I know, of large open rooms or manufactured housing. There is that, but large open rooms, a church, not a great venue. If you're inside a church, you think of the church auditorium or the hall where you have your Sunday services. Those aren't great places. Open span ceilings, bad place to be. What we encourage instead is that you head towards an interior room or a basement of a well-built building, a foundation, a site-built structure. Tornado shelter or safe room also are important too. Sometimes if you're in a commercial area, they have that. An open span room eventually downstream. This information just good to have is if you're in a Walmart or a big box store, Target, some of these places that have great deals and shopping on the weekend, if there's a tornado warning issued and you find yourself in that, what you want to do is you actually want to head to the back of the store where the bathrooms are. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll say, oh, meet in the middle of the room. You aren't protecting yourself with that open span ceiling. Encourage them to go to the back of the store, fight them on it, say, hey, meteorologist Jacob Dickey said we go to the back of the store, and that's what you do to stay safe here. Let's bring me back full screen and do a reset on our storms that we're watching here now. One tornado warning in our area, and it's for a sliver of Morgan County at this point here. There's a lot of folks where no warnings are in place, and we hope that stays that way, but the atmosphere today does have plenty of instability. It has plenty of wind shear, which we think will allow for more storms and more warnings to come. Our whole team is watching things today, from Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy. He's out in Farmer City. We've got Amelia Henderson and myself in the studio. We also have meteorologist Jack Gerfin watching on our digital platforms here. We will watch it and keep you updated on all of these storms through the day, probably by about 7 or 8 o'clock. We think that the threat for severe weather will start to decrease, and again, then it turns to more of a flash flooding issue from then on out. This is the latest. The National Weather Service has continued to keep their tornado warning for Scott and Morgan County. This is south and east of Winchester, right on US 67, southwest of Murrayville. A slower moving storm. They have it moving at north and east at 35 miles an hour. The likely tornado over Manchester, and we'll continue to head towards Murrayville here. Manchester, if you're familiar with that area, is right in this area here, and there's Murrayville. US 67 dips to the north into Jacksonville. Then you can take the highway off to the east there. I believe that's going to be US 67 alternate. There's two of them. That's right. They've got the quick spur, and then they've got the Murrayville spur there that carry into Jacksonville. On the one to Murrayville is where we're worried that'd be eventually some of those roads popping up. Nortonville Road, Church Road, Midway Road, downstream in southwestern Morgan County. The rotation itself still in Scott County, but it continues to move off to the north and to the east. And based on that signature here, number one, the storm ahead of that line out by itself. Definitely a supercell thunderstorm. Number two, with the velocity imagery in here, those greens going towards, reds going away. There's your rotation signature sticking out like a tack on paper from this storm here. This will be moving to the north and to the east towards Murrayville at about 35 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and put a storm track on this to give some folks a heads up further down to the stream. And we do not have an extension of this warning, but based on what I'm seeing, that may very well come. The latest radar imagery just coming in there, and we can see it and watch it. This storm, as it moves off to the north and to the east at 35 miles an hour, eventually, to give you an idea here, this is an estimated time of arrival. Obviously, if you're in Murrayville, you're in shelter now. We'll give it about 1:50, though. The time now, 1:42. Pisgah at 2:05 will be in Alexander at 2:16. And then we start popping in some more Sangamon County areas. New Berlin and Curran at 2:26 and 2:38 on this path. Sometimes when these storms strengthen and the rotation really anchors in at the surface, they may take a little more of a right turn. So I don't want to rule out places like Waverly or over towards Auburn or Pawnee, Chatham, Glenarm, Divernon, places like that we'll watch for. But this seems to be, as of now, the most likely path to the north and east as it moves further into Morgan County here in the next little bit. The tornado warning that's in effect here from Morgan County will go until 2 o'clock. It is 1:43 now, and I suspect the National Weather Service, based on it looks now, as we get closer to 2 o'clock, we'll see an extension of this warning. So heads up, this is a first heads up for Woodson, Pisgah, Nortonville, Alexander, potentially even the city of Jacksonville, especially those that live close to Interstate 72. You've got some time to think about what you will do in those areas, but we're also going to watch this storm pretty closely here, right over the Jacksonville Prison at the Interstate 72 exit on the east side of town. Starting to look a little more concerning to me at this point, and I'll take a look at rotation on this one. And thankfully, nothing out there sticks out to me like the storm to the south does. But we're going to watch that storm closely. That would maybe affect areas on Illinois 123 north of Alexander in Morgan County. That's on the way to the north towards Ashland, up towards Pleasant Plains perhaps, and into parts of northwestern Sangamon County. So we will watch that storm as well, in particular, pretty close. What I want to do now is hit a reset. And Amelia, if you don't mind, I'd like to give you control of the cameras. If you can switch cameras for me, is that something you can help out with? We'd like to get the Springfield camera up, and I can do it here too if need be. But we've just got this one tornado warning for Morgan County. Let's zoom up to the north real quick and talk about the storms in Livingston County. You'll notice here as you see some of these greens and reds, not quite as strong, but close to Chatsworth. There's probably at least a weak area of circulation in that cell located there. And then another spot catches my eye closer to Ashcombe, that one moving off into Kankakee County. Weak at best now. No tornado warning for Livingston, Ford, and Iroquois counties. If one is issued, we'll jump right on it, but we at least are going to watch all of these storms particularly closely today as we see some of these individual cells with just a little wind shear and just a little instability taking full advantage of that today. And I'd like to show also the Chatsworth funnel cloud from 1 p.m. earlier from that batch of storms that's moving on through. So if we get the chance to show the Chatsworth funnel too, you can just pull that full screen when we have that. We'll show that one more time here and for the area. Some other housekeeping notes while we're looking for that Chatsworth funnel cloud photo. I will mention this, some other news stories, weather related. The Arthur fireworks did get postponed tonight. That we confirmed. If you're looking for other sources of fireworks cancellations or events, you can check the website. I know Tolono is having an event today. Things in Champaign County here are looking clear and dry right now. It's windy. It's humid, it's hot, it feels like summer. We don't have anything of concern for now in Champaign County. Whether that stays that way remains to be seen. The thought process behind our storms today is that this batch of storms will move north and east with a slight eastward component, and we'll see the intensity pick up here over the next several hours as the instability continues to increase with the wind shear across the day. So that's all I have for reports of that here. If we've got any viewer reports or anything of that, I'm watching the chat and monitoring things there. We'll keep you updated on our digital platforms. I haven't seen the Chatsworth photo. Do we have that? Okay, perfect. Here it comes. So we're going to show that here in a second, and we'll try and use it if we can. I see that there now. This was from Chatsworth at about 1 o'clock, an earlier storm report. I'll try and sometimes use my Apple TV, but once I get those photos back, if y'all can help me out and take care of those two, that'll be real helpful here so we can focus on the storms of the day. This was at 1 o'clock. Andrew Pritchard, he's a well-respected meteorologist, caught this funnel cloud. You can see it in the middle of your screen, extending about halfway down to the ground. And there was no confirmation of a touchdown, but that storm did have a tornado warning in Mclane County before it carried to the north and east. And that's that batch of storms now from Chatsworth towards Piper City and Kempton up towards Ashcombe that are continuing to move out. Once they exit, I think the attention will turn more to the west and south here in parts of the area. So again, thank you so much for showing that in the back. Let's go ahead and bring the graphics full. What I want to do here is I want to show future track, and we're going to pull that in here and give you an idea of what we're looking for the rest of the day here. Bear with me 1 second as I switch the graphics over. Do we have that Springfield camera up? Is that available? It is available. If we can just pull that. This is looking off to the west and northwest a bit, it seems. And we're watching some of those storms as they are in the region. And we're going to keep a close eye on that storm that's down near Jacksonville as it moves off to the north and east for you. Monitor things closely here. So we'll watch that and continue to monitor all of our cameras in the area. Amelia, if you can, let's switch to the Gibson City camera. We can catch maybe the tail end of some of those storms in southern Livingston County from that. And then we'll also maybe want to take a look at let's see, probably the Gibson City one at this point may show us some of those storms off in the distance. And I think that's a nice shot there from the Gibson Area Hospital looking to the north and west. The storm's now towards the right side of the screen and exiting the area. And that's going to be the focus for us here with that. So as I get this future track graphic up here, my computer is being a little bit little finicky sometimes. That happens. But we do anticipate that at least that we're going to see these storms continue. So here we go right now, and I'll show you here on screen with me on it, please. This is a future track, what's showing it's supposed to look like right now. It's close. We'll look at the trend here, the trend being our friend with these storms. We know there's a cluster up here in Iroquois County. In fact, being 149, I'm going to advance this by to 2 o'clock. That probably a more accurate representation. There's that cluster of storms in northern Ford, Iroquois, Livingston County. Some scattered showers and storms developing there. Also picking up pretty close to our Jacksonville storm and others here. What we'll see is as we move forth is the storms will pick up in intensity, but also train over some of those same areas that have seen flooding. By 4 o'clock, we still may not have anything in Champaign-Urbana unless something pops out in front of it. Even Decatur would be knocking on the doorstep here. Springfield, probably 4 o'clock. You know, we're seeing that line of storms right up Interstate 55 and right on Illinois 54. And we'll continue forth here to 5 and 6 o'clock. Now we start to see storms coming into Monticello and Champaign, passing Decatur, passing Taylorville. That should be the end of the event for Springfield and Lincoln once that line passes. And then even into 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Here we go. Still some stronger clusters there showing up. But the idea, the thought process is by 8 o'clock, the instability starts to go away. The sun starts to set. We'll be letting these storms be lesser in intensity, I'll say. I won't guarantee that, but that should be the trend once the sun goes down. And we may keep the chance there for a little bit longer. But some heavy rain, that will be what things turn to more based on what we're looking at here at 9 and 10 o'clock. by 10 o'clock, looking all good here. I think the 10 o'clock news will happen and should be able to go home and get a nap before we do the morning show tomorrow, and maybe watch for more severe storms tomorrow. Overnight tonight, then some rain showers and a few storms will continue through the area. And then tomorrow morning, we'll probably start things off more dry before we watch more storms tomorrow. We'll worry about that later. Of course, our focus is with this round of storms, with this tornado watch until 7 o'clock tonight for the counties that are in yellow. This will include Gibson City, Watseka, Pontiac, Bloomington Normal, Champaign-Urbana, Danville. It'll include Farmers City and Clinton, Monticello, Decatur, Sullivan, Shelbyville, Pana, Taylorville, Springfield, Petersburg, Lincoln, Jacksonville, and Beardstown. And we'll watch and see if they don't cut some back eventually. But right now, that seems to be the corridor if you're near one of those communities where we're going to watch for the best chance for severe weather for the next several hours. Let's head back to the radar here and get an update on things. Looks like we've got Kevin driving around. I don't know, have we heard from Kevin? Is he called in or not? He's not. So he's out driving around and getting some of the flood damage. In the DeWitt County area. Looks like he's still in the Farmer City area down there, and we've seen some flood video. We'll have more information on the flooding and some of the water rescues that have happened overnight on the WCIA 3 News at 6 o'clock. Right now, of course, the focus will be on these tornado warnings into the area. This is a look right here. There's one tornado warning for our area, and you can see in Morgan County, just checking some new information there. Morgan County, this one cell here, it's small. Normally when we look at storms, they look pretty big. You think back to the storm that dropped a couple of tornadoes near Ironsville back in May 3rd. It was a bigger supercell storm. These are miniature versions of that, but they're still able to produce rotation and drop tornadoes. And we've had that happen yesterday. We fully expect that may happen again in spots today. And then off to the south and west here, some folks are asking about this second warning. This one may follow closely in its footsteps, though that's towards Calhoun County, Illinois, Pike County, Missouri. A ways away. We'll worry about that later, but we've got our eyes on it. Our focus primarily for our viewing area is in Morgan County, and as well with some of these other showers and storms that are developing. Let's talk a little bit more here about the flooding that's in the area. I'm going to bring up my severe alerts map, and it's going to show a lot of colors on here. First off, the yellow color in place, the tornado watch. The green color is also a flash flood watch. I'll show you that individually here in a second. Most of the flood warnings have been cut back, and we have no flash flood warnings at this point. That's what this map is going to show you. That may change, though, as we go later on today. In fact, up by Chicago, they're dealing with more tornadoes in the Chicago metro, more flooding up there. As these storms continue to train over the areas that have seen flooding, that very well may be a concern. You'll see those alerts on the bottom of your screen on TV. You'll also get it on the WCIA 3 weather app if you happen to be in an area that gets a flash flood warning. Not everyone will, but given what we're seeing with this flash flood watch in the region through at least tomorrow morning, there's a chance that area-wide we could see that here into the region. All right, we did just get a new update on the tornado warning. It has been extended. We told you that may happen. The time now 1:53. This is going to be for Morgan County, an extension to areas that we had mentioned just to the south and east of Jacksonville. If you live north of Interstate 72, this storm will not be a problem for you. North of 72, in the city of Jacksonville, I should say. Once we get east of Jacksonville, then it will likely cross 72 somewhere close to Alexander. Woodson, Pisgah, Alexander are in the path of this tornado, and we're going to call it at this point likely tornado. No confirmation, but the signature continues to look impressive with this storm now here as it's now to the north of Murrayville by about 3 miles, approaching US 67, Illinois 967, Illinois 267. That network of roads there. There's a lot of folks that live in that area, a lot of houses, and it's almost similar to Mahomet to Champaign, this part of the area, as this storm lifts north and eastward through there. Woodson, Clements, Pisgah, Reese, up towards Alexander are the next towns in the path. This does not include the city of Jacksonville, though I suspect that the sirens have sounded county-wide into the area. And with that, oftentimes the National Weather Service issues warnings based on parts of counties here. This is for central and eastern Morgan County. But the issue is with the siren system. It's an old World War II era system. Those are blanket warnings. You most of the time can't issue those for, you can't sound the sirens just one at a time. You either blow them for the whole county or you don't. So folks probably checking in from Nortonville and Waverly, Jacksonville, even towards Chapin, and up north in 78 heading in towards Cass County, probably hearing sirens in areas that have them. The primary focus of this warning, though, Murrayville, give me a couple more minutes to make sure it's passed. Woodson, Pisgah, Alexander. Of crossing Illinois 104 from Interstate 72 between there and Waverly, probably close to Pisgah. Alexander, the exit 123 on Interstate 72, this storm also there. At this point, I'd like to give an all clear to Murrayville, but Woodson, stay in your shelter. If you're just north and east of Murrayville, go ahead and stay with me for shelter for a little bit here as we watch these storms continuing off to the north and to the east. This storm, as small as it looks, still has some indications of rotation in it here. And that's going to be the case for us as we watch here. Maybe from the latest update, we still see some of those greens and reds close by near Woodson. The radar is a bit far away, so there's still some real estate below the radar beam. Remember, the radar beam, it doesn't hug the ground. It actually shoots away at an angle and will push a little bit of angle. As the Earth curves underneath it, the angle gets higher and higher the further away it is. So below this, probably some tighter rotation near Woodson in Morgan County. Again, Jacksonville sits here, US 67. Illinois 967, Illinois 267 straight south. This is Illinois 104. If you come from Jacksonville, that takes you eventually into Waverly, Auburn, Pawnee. Not worried about there. We think that's staying more in Morgan County, Alexander, and eventually parts of Sangamon County, maybe further downstream for this particular tornado-warned storm will continue. What we got here is one tornado-warned storm. Morgan County, our primary concern at this point, but boy, is there a lot of real estate downstream. You draw a straight line here, some railroad tracks. Let's just talk about where the storm may be heading. Sangamon County, perhaps southeastern Menard County, could be Springfield and areas north and west of Springfield, perhaps Logan County. There's a lot of time for it to get there. A slower moving storm, the National Weather Service only has it moving northeast at 30 miles an hour, but it still looks like we're continuing to see some rotation in it according to the National Weather Service. Let's talk about some other areas here again. Our primary coverage this afternoon from Morgan County and areas with tornado warnings. We know there are, I will mention also, there are some river flood concerns. There's no flash flood warnings. There are some river flood warnings and other things like that. These areas up here bringing some downpours, more tropical in nature. Here's Piper City. There's Cullum. You've got Kempton, Caberry, Stell, Clifton, Ashcombe, a lot of heavy rain up there. No reports of any tornadoes in that batch of storms. There's been some weak rotation trying to wobble around here. It hasn't established itself, but is still worth watching and worth keeping an eye on here. And I'll show you on our velocity product. You can kind of see maybe right here some of those reds and greens. It's to the south and east side of Kankakee. No warning there, that's out of our area, but that's kind of what we watch with these storms as they try and spin up a bit into the region. Other storms to note here in parts of Mclane County. This little cell here near Lexington has my eye and will continue to have my eye for a little bit, kind of out by itself. Not all that impressive looking, but it doesn't take much for rotation to spin up. And so we'll watch this. This one will be heading towards Chenoa, Weston, Lawndale areas north of Cooksville, north of Colfax, potentially downstream Fairbury Forest. We'll watch and see what happens with that individual cell for you. And then further down the line, you really kind of see these are a little more impressive here. This is Tazewell County here, Illinois 122, Illinois 9. Of course, Route 9 comes from Bloomington. You go east from Bloomington, you pass the airport, eventually you drive into Gibson City after about 25 miles. You go west of town, takes you past the Mitsubishi area, and into Tazewell County near Tremont. This storm near Minear is going to be close to the Olympia School District. Their school sits right down in here. And if it carries to the north and east, we'll watch for it near Bloomington. Not overly impressive, but again, the bar a bit lower today on how it looks on radar based on what we're seeing. So we're going to watch that storm, even the one now in northwestern Logan County. And that's going to be near San Joe's, Emden, Orville. There's Lincoln down there. Here's New Holland. You drive north from New Holland, you catch up to 136. It will be heading that way and eventually could be a Mclane County issue. So we'll watch that one also. And then some more intense showers and thunderstorms coming in here. Cluster of storms near Petersburg, near Lake Petersburg, off to the south and west towards Ashland and Litterbury. And then, of course, that tornado warning we have in Morgan County. Let me check in with Kevin real quick. I don't have him talking, but I'd like to just show his live shot right now. I can tell you where he is. And he's he's driving right now. He's down in 54 southwest of Farmer City. I recognize that. Made that drive many times on the way to Springfield, and is heading down to the south and west, likely to catch some of these storms here that are coming out from parts of southwestern Illinois, including that Morgan County storm. So he's got a little ways to go, but I know he's stopped for some rather significant flooding in that area. And I don't know if he's gotten video in yet in the back, but if he has, we can roll that at some point on Latitude. If not, that's totally fine. I haven't seen either way. It does not have that. That's okay. Our priority at this point still remains for the tornado warnings, but we'll watch Kevin and keep an eye on him, and I suspect I'd like to hear from him sometime by 2:30. He's probably listening to us now on the app and keeping an update. So Kevin now driving to the south and west of Farmer City, heading towards the storms in the area. Let's go ahead and bring the graphics full screen here and talk about who's seeing what. A lot of areas not seeing a whole lot of things here. And Effingham, Casey, Toledo, Greenup, Mattoon, Charleston, Lake Shelbyville, Sullivan, Douglas County, Champaign County, Vermilion County. We don't have much going on here right now. There is a tornado watch for some of us, but some of these tornado-warned storms here are lining up as we look off to the west from Springfield, and we'll keep our eyes on them closely. We are seeing that there is some rotation down towards Calhoun County. That warning may be extended into parts of Greene and Jersey counties. That storm now north of Campsville and Calhoun County. The one in our area that we are focused on is going to be the storm now located to the south and southeast of Jacksonville in the area. What I'm doing now is we're going to turn our camera and catch a vantage point here and we'll watch things. And so we're looking off and trying to get my bearings on the Springfield camera as we watch things here. Let's bring the Gibson City camera up real close if we can. And that's a nice shot there. You can see in Gibson some of those low clouds. The issue with today's storms is they look a lot more impressive because the moisture is so high, it does not take much for these storms to rotate and then spin some things down to the ground even closer. So the bar is lower compared to what we normally would look at with these storms here as they're moving on through. And then if we can, I'm going to put the camera from Springfield on max 2. And that's Champaign. Let me pull Springfield real quick here. This camera is looking off to the west in Springfield. There you go. You can see the Capitol, and we're looking to the west towards Jacksonville. The state capitol is there. Of course, the roads you see going to and from the camera straight out are on east-west roads, and that's looking off to the west. I will show you real quick one of those little cells that's trying to go up here. This is north and west of town, a little bit darker there. There's nothing really indicating of a substantial problem in that area, but that will be an issue for us if these storms continue to fire and exhibit some rotation. We may very well see more warnings come and go here. So we will be using our camera network very much in the area and very much for monitoring things closely here. All right, so the latest from the National Weather Service, they continue to watch an area of strong rotation down near Jacksonville. And again, I think Jacksonville proper, south of it's primarily south of Interstate 72 here. Now crossing 104 near Pisgah at this point. I'd like to give an all clear to Woodson and Murrayville. Pisgah, let's give you a little more time here. Reese, a little more time. Alexander, next in line here, the Alexander exit on Interstate 72. That's going to be Illinois 123 that takes you north, and that should take you north up towards Ashland. So eventually this storm probably going to head to areas north and west of New Berlin and Loami. Of course, the Sangamon County Fairgrounds are out there. I think it'll stay north of there. It'll likely be on Illinois 125 and near Pleasant Plains and Salisbury, Gardner, up towards Sherman would probably be the next in line in Sangamon County for this storm. And it appears to me that it's picking up just a little bit in pace the region. So we'll watch this here. Again, that area of rotation, what we're looking at, let's go ahead and bring me full screen here, is this Supercell Thunderstorm, much smaller in appearance, but still has characteristics of that. Right here, here's Pisgah. This is your inflow notch right there. Your rear flank downdraft wraps around here. This is where the tornado would be, very close to this community of Pisgah, moving off to the north and to the east. Orleans, Alexander, areas to the east and north of Pisgah, south of Interstate 72 from Jacksonville, and then north of 72 from Orleans and Alexander up Illinois 123. Those are the areas that we're going to watch here very closely from this storm. And I'll show you, let's train our eyes right here. Focus your eyes right here. What I'm going to do is when I flip on the velocity, you'll see that those reds and greens should line up right there indeed, and that's where we're seeing that area of rotation very close to the community of Pisgah on Illinois 104. Pisgah, stay in your shelter for now. Jacksonville proper. If you live north of Interstate 72 in Jacksonville, you are in the clear. Looks like the lake south of town will give me a few more minutes to make sure it clears all of those areas before I call an all clear. But that area of rotation continuing to look impressive enough where this tornado warning continues. I have not heard of any reports of tornadoes or funnels from this storm, but just checking some of our spotters in the area, we do have a couple of spotters that storm closely, and some other spotters are in the Springfield area waiting for it to come on by. So likely this storm, being ahead of everything else, being out by itself, is still going to give it plenty of fuel and plenty of instability to cause some problems here. Again, that tornado warning continues until 2:30. But I have a feeling by 2:30 this storm will likely carry into parts of Sangamon County, and we'll see an extension of the warning there. And that may be coming sooner rather than later based on what we're watching. So this is the one storm we have the warning on. I want to pull this map up real quick and get some information. I will remind you that we are streaming on our digital platforms. You can watch us on Facebook, on Twitter. So if you're in these areas where tornado warnings happen, turn your TV volume up all the way as loud as you can. Head to your safe spot. You can hear the TV. If you have digital apps, if you have a cell phone or access to computers, what you can do then is you can use the Facebook or the app and stream our coverage right here like you're seeing on TV. You can stream it there. Some folks are already doing that, but you also head over to the Facebook pages. We're posting this and getting as much information out as we can on this particular storm as it moves to the north and to the east. Again, no immediate reports at this point of funnel clouds from it, but there still is a very strong indication of a circulation with this storm now due near Pisgah, moving off to the north and to the east towards Alexander. Downstream, let's talk about a heads up for who might be next here. So we'll talk about north and western, I should say, Sangamon County. So this would be Illinois 125 between Ashland and Gardner. You go north here, Salisbury, Claysville, New Berlin, probably will be north of there and west of there. I don't know if it'll include Curran. I'm not certain if it will include the city of Springfield, but I tell you what, kind of drawing the line on where it's been, it may be close enough where Springfield will have to watch closely here. Athens, Salisbury, Ashland, we're going to watch those areas as well and see where this new warning, if it comes out, will be for. No indication of it coming yet, but we'll be monitoring things very closely in those areas as this storm continues to show some signs of rotation and potentially a tornado that could form at any time if it has not already done so. Looking downstream here, again, let's go ahead and go back to the warning. There's other storms. Oh, wow, that's an impressive circulation right here in Menard County. What we're looking at is you can see this hook right here over Illinois 29, north of Culver, north of Fancy Prairie. There's a name for you. Hubley. We got some good names here in central Illinois. Greenview, northeastern Menard County. This may become an issue for Logan County, but looking at that same impressive feature does catch my eye just looking at it. I'm going to ask the National Weather Service, seeing that. From looking at velocity here, I've got two different ways I can look at it. The rotation not immediately strong with this particular storm as it's near Greenview, near Sweetwater. This is east of Petersburg, north of Athens on Illinois 29 between Athens and Mason City. Of course, the river sits right here. That's the Sangamon River. And on this track, we're going to watch that feature pretty closely. But the look of it, very much important to monitor here for the region. So far, reports have been from Scott County. They have a few reports of funnel cloud, but no touchdown reports. That's good. That's an impressive circulation signature right here based on reflectivity. Maybe not as strong on velocity, but you can see that shape. We're looking for that shape, that almost backwards J shape in these storms. And so that's going to be a storm we have to watch closely here for parts of Menard and Logan counties. And boy, even this storm right here, near Pleasant Plains. No warning now, but we'll watch it as it's starting to exhibit some of those same signs. There's your inflow notch right here on Illinois 123. There's Ashland. There's Pleasant Plains. Here's Tallulah. 123 carries to the north. This is 125 down towards Springfield. Of course, last night, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy and Jack Griffin were in this area watching storms coming in. Now Kevin is on his way to the south and to the west. So here we have, is that new video? Okay. We've got some video from Kevin. I'll take that here in a second. I want to just reset real quick, and that's going to be his flooding video that's coming in from other areas. I do want to mention, first off, if you know anyone up in Chicago, there's now a confirmed tornado in the South Chicago metro. This is near Crete, heading into northwest Indiana, so they've had some issues up there. I think we also have a photo from downtown Chicago. They had earlier tornadoes in the area but they just dropped that. Okay, that's fine. We'll get that in a minute. They did drop that tornado warning now. That's Moni, Piotome. This is not our area, but I know a lot of folks in central Illinois have friends and relatives in Chicago. Tell them to tune in to the CBS station up there or WGN. Both of those stations have excellent coverage for tornadoes that are in the Chicago metro right now. And that storm has a confirmed tornado. We have yet to get that with our storms, but I think we're going to at least get a couple of tornadoes out of this before all is said and done. So Kevin is in Farmer City. Let's talk real quick about the flooding, but we'll go back to the tornadoes. Flash flood watch does continue for the area through Sunday morning. There's a lot of river flood warnings and area flood warnings. We have no flash flood warnings. I should say this is a flash flood watch through tomorrow morning. And so that's going to be what we continue to watch with those heavy rain. This is video from near the Farmer City area that Kevin has of flooding, and we can roll that. He took that drone video. Look at all of that water. Areas near Farmer City saw inches of rain. We had some reports of 5, 6, 7 inches of rain in DeWitt County and Mclane County last night. Some significant problems. Wow. That looks like the park in Farmer City. Wow. Oh, man. You just feel for the people that are affected by the flooding. Now, this new video, we're seeing it the first time you are. And we know there's people, we got messages from folks in that area who said they've been living in that part of the world for 30 plus years. They've never had water in their basement. Look at that. So those roads covered in water here. That's right off of Highway 54. That's our Sky 3 drone that caught this video earlier. Man, there will be a long cleanup process ahead for this, for areas that are here. And again, that's going to be the area south of Farmer City. He was sitting South Main Street, Royal Road for a while, Greenleaf Road, 2550 East. That's past the Trinity Community Fellowship. St. Joseph's Catholic Cemetery sits down in that area, and that's the park. And that is just some crazy photo here. That's the river that feeds into Lake Clinton there south of Farmer City, just overwhelmed with water. All right, thank you for that photo. Here's a look in Chicago. This is a Chicago photo from downtown. This photo is shared by the National Weather Service, and they've been watching tornadoes and tornado-warned storms move through the Chicago metro. So we've gotten problems all across the state here with the issues. We've got our own problems here in central Illinois, and we've got one tornado warning now, which is what we are monitoring. A number of other storms, though, continuing to watch here. I tell you what, I think at this point, the storm may be accelerating a little bit. It's now past Pisgah. We can get an all clear to Pisgah. Folks along and south of Illinois 104. Let's go ahead and bring the graphics full here. Along and south of 104. This now sitting in Illinois 123 near Interstate 72 in eastern Morgan County. I expect an extension of the tornado warning to carry on into northwestern Sangamon County based on everything we're seeing. If that does happen, we'll be here and we'll walk you through it, but we're also going to have to watch these storms carefully. Wow, look at this storm here. This is that Menard County storm I told you about earlier. Let's pull in our velocity product and see what we're looking at. We just got a report of a tornado down in the storm in Menard County. That came on in. Oh yeah, I would believe it. I believe it based on this signature here. Likely a tornado down now near Alexander, and that's going to escalate our situation a little bit more. We've got reports from folks on the ground of a tornado near Alexander. So in the back, if we can watch our social media feeds and make sure that if we see any photos, if you're in that area and you see that and it's safe to do so, let us know. But now it appears that there's a tornado down near Alexander and Orleans. That's going to be Illinois 72. And east of Jacksonville, so likely going to see this warning extended. The circulation quite impressive with it at this point. We'll zoom in. This is Old 36, Old State Road, west of Springfield. There's Illinois 123, Interstate 72. Some really flat real estate out there. Alexander, we've got to have you in your shelter now. Orleans, we've got to have you in your shelter. This storm continues to the north and east, and I fully suspect a new warning will be posted soon for Sangamon County. And when that happens, we will drop the warning and put a post on social media. Amelia and Jack are working on that behind the scenes as we drive coverage here. Kevin appears to be in passing through Clinton right now, still heading to the south and west. So he's got a little ways to go, but we wanted to make sure some of those earlier storms did not drop and cause any problems. But at this point, I'd like to treat that Morgan County storm as a tornado down based on some of the reports that we've gotten from the National Weather Service from that area. So we'll monitor those social media feeds and see if we can't get a report of it. There are some spotters in the area as well. And I will also be checking a few feeds from this here of the tornado now near Alexander in eastern Morgan County. I fully suspect that the city of Springfield may end up being under that tornado warning, and that's what we have. So again, now that we have a report of a tornado down, we're going to stay on this coverage here. You know, I get it. Some people want programming. Honestly, if it makes you feel good, you can call and complain. It ain't going to change anything. We're going to be here with our viewers because everyone deserves the same level of coverage in our viewing area, and especially with this storm now near Orleans. If the warning is not extended, we'll go back to coverage, to regular programming. But at this point, with the storm over Alexander, with the report of a tornado down, I do expect a new warning to come in the next few minutes here. This warning goes until 2:30, but the storm is on the edge of that polygon and will continue to the north and to the east. It's our job to keep folks safe and to stay informed. We've got viewers in these areas that are watching and continuing to monitor things. So, you know, golf or no golf, we're going to be here for tornado warnings through the day, especially given the volatility of the atmosphere across the region. Let's hit a reset here, and we'll wait and see what the National Weather Service decides to do. That storm running out of real estate before another warning into the area may have to come, or they'll let it go, and either or. And that's what we'll do, and that's what we'll continue to monitor. I'm just checking through some of our social media feeds here and looking at power outage reports and seeing if there's anything. I don't have anything major at this point. There were still some residual outages from last night's storms, and there's actually quite a bit of outages for storms down in the St. Louis metro in the area. Okay, that's a report from Chicago of some damage coming out in Cook County. We don't cover that area, but there was a number of power outages there. The power outage count is low at this point in central Illinois, and we hope it stays that way. But with that report of a tornado down near Alexander, there we go. There's the new warning that just came across here, and this is going to include northwestern Sangamon County. Areas just to the north and west of Springfield. So we'll be using that Springfield camera closely here. At some point, I'd like to double box and have the Springfield camera in the smaller box and myself in the bigger box. And that way we can look here. The National Weather Service says the tornado located near Alexander, or 12 miles east of Jacksonville, moving to the north and to the east at 35 miles an hour. This includes areas between Pleasant Plains and Gardner on Illinois 125. This includes Salisbury. This does not include New Berlin or Berlin. It does include areas immediately north and west of there. It does not include Curran or Chatham or Sherman at this point. It doesn't even include Auburn or Pawnee, but likely the siren's about to go off in those areas as this tornado-warned storm with a report of a tornado down at some point near Alexander and Orleans. That report came a little earlier, actually, closer to 104 near the Pisgah area of that tornado. So this storm has a history of having tornadoes. The new warning goes until 2:45 for parts of Sangamon County, and those updates still indicating there's been a couple of different reports of funnels and or tornadoes with this storm. So this storm will continue off to the north and east at 35 miles an hour. It does not immediately include the city of Springfield, but it will include areas north and west of Springfield into the area. If we can, let's take the Springfield camera full. Is that what I have up on the screen there by chance? I just want to look off in the distance on that one, and that's Chicago. We're getting that camera switched over here. I want to look at the Springfield camera because at this point we'll start to get a view from our Springfield area. There we go, camera one. We'll just do Springfield full, max one full, or the camera full, I say. So there we go. We're looking off to the west of the storm, a little far away, and it's such a soupy day that it's going to be hard to see storms until they're much closer into the area. And so that's what we'll continue to watch and monitor things here. Amelia, you've been in here and you've been monitoring things. If you don't mind, I'd like you to talk a little bit about any reports you've seen, anything like that. You've got your mic there, and your mic is the PA6 mic, and that will give me a chance to catch my breath and get some other information posted out. Those weather cameras in the area, talk about what we're seeing and any reports you've seen on social.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are looking at the Springfield camera right now. As Jacob Dickey just mentioned, this storm is a little bit far out, so it's kind of hard to see. Let me try to zoom in a little bit to some of these other cameras. So let's go to Gibson City now. We do have the cloud cover moving pretty quickly across there. I have been monitoring social media.
To the west side.
Haven't seen a whole lot of reports as of yet. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our social media page. Of course, we have the reports of the flooding in Farmer City, which we showed you earlier. Great damage there, lots of water in those areas. Now, luckily, we don't have a whole lot of warnings for the floodings in other areas as of yet. We still have the watches out there, so we'll keep you up to date on that. We'll continue to monitor that. But we did have the report of the tornado that did touch down. That was towards, what did we say, Alexander?
Was down by Pisgah. That
yep.
report came a little bit late into the feed here.
Yes.
And so we'll continue to watch here. Now you're seeing in the screen, we're also watching that Gibson City camera. But at this point, that storm down by Morgan County is the most impressive of the day. I will take a look further upstream though at some of these other storms. This storm here west of Lincoln near New Holland, we're going to have to watch it closely, starting to get some of those signs of rotation as well as storms in Mclane County here. And before long, we may have multiple tornado warnings the way things are looking here. That's one of the concerns I have. There's a lot of folks watching. I'm sure there's some unhappy campers in Champaign and Decatur and Mattoon, Charleston. I apologize, but we're giving the same level of respect and coverage to our friends in Sangamon County as we do to you when there's severe weather. We did last night covering folks in the area. We know there's a lot of areas that are having their outdoor warning sirens go off now with this particular storm, especially since it had a report of a tornado near Pisgah. Now it's near Alexander. Let's stay in your shelter, Alexander, a little while longer. I think in about 5 to 10 minutes, Morgan County will give you an all clear, and this will become a Sangamon County issue. Further downstream then, this will be close to Sherman and Athens, areas north of Springfield. We do have our photographer, Chris, and he's going to head to the west side of Springfield to see if we can't get a view of it. My thought for him is if he heads to the north and west by Highway 4 towards Gardner and kind of sits there by the airport, eventually, he'll be able to whip up Highway 29 to the north past the airport and watch that thing safely go by. We'll keep him safe and keep him informed. Of course, Kevin now working quickly down through DeWitt County, heading towards this storm, which has more and more an impressive signature on radar. Let's go ahead and bring me full screen here real fast, and I'll point out some things towards you. The signs of this storm strengthening, becoming more obvious every scan. This is your inflow notch here. Your rear flank downdraft spins around there. Your tornado would likely be down right in here, just to the north of Interstate 72, to the east of Illinois 123. As it carries to the north and east, then New Berlin sits here. There's Berlin. Downtown Berlin, as small of a downtown as it is there, is not in the warning. But if you live on the north and west side of Berlin, out in some of those areas, a lot of residents in there, this storm means business and is continuing to move off to the north and to the east. And so we'll watch it closely as this carries on in. We do know in the area, folks in Ashland and Pleasant Plains have had their sirens sound. Outdoor warning sirens sound. What I like to do is I like to say when you're dealing with these outdoor warning sirens, the mentality we have is that is the tell-all, say-all, do-all, the way we count on information. What we should do instead of treating those outdoor warning sirens, first off, the keyword outdoor warning sirens, meant to be heard outdoors, but if you hear those, that should be a sign that you should seek out more information, and likely in Ashland and Pleasant Plains, because they have sounded those sirens there. Folks are tuning in now and watching and looking for coverage, but it looks like as of this point, Ashland and Pleasant Plains will not be in the direct path of this storm or other storms into the area. And it will also likely stay just to the north and west of Springfield, but very much so, the sirens may be sounding in Springfield. I have not heard at this point whether they have or not. I'm sure we've got some viewers on our digital platforms that can let us know, but the inflow notch to me really sticks out there that this storm is not done yet and may stay a problem for us beyond Sangamon County into parts of Menard and Logan County. Eventually, it's going to skirt Interstate 55 from Sherman and Williamsville, I think, on its path. Williamsville, north of Springfield, has the big Love's truck stop, the McDonald's on the west side of the interstate. If you're familiar with that, of course, by Sherman, it has the split off, the old 66 into town, and then Interstate 55 continues on the rickety old drive to the south where all that construction is going on right now. So that's the storm we're watching. We continue to keep our eyes on other storms here in the area. area. But we have one tornado warning, and that is including parts of Sangamon County, fairly populated parts of Sangamon County. These storms will continue their slow northeastward trajectory at about 30 to 35 miles an hour. Let me go ahead and while we're at it, kind of talk about area-wide. First off, those areas of storms we were watching in Ford, Iroquois, and Livingston County no longer appearing to be a problem. They're out of the area. They're in Kankakee County. And that tornado warning in the Chicago metro with the confirmed tornado near Crete now seems to be moving into Indiana. If you know folks in Chicago, they can tune to their local stations up there. We let our friends handle that in Kankakee County and points north. We cover southeastern Livingston, Ford, and Iroquois counties with our coverage. Northwestern Livingston County, where the first tornado warning of the day was around 11:45. That went to our friends over in Peoria as they cover that part of the county there. All right, let's go in and talk more about this storm here. The latest radar scan now has it north of Interstate 72. If you live south of Interstate 72 and you live in Morgan County, we'll want you to stay in shelter. Let me rephrase that. South of 72, all clear. West of Illinois 123, all clear. Still a little sliver north of Alexander, north and east there. Give me a few more minutes to clear this into Sangamon County, but pretty quickly, this particular storm will be all clear for that area. Next in line now, areas between Pleasant Plains and Farmingdale, Salisbury, and that is going to include couple of roads. We've got County Road 9C. We've got the small community of Richland in the path. There's 123 carries you north out of Morgan County. It's to the east of there along the county line. This should stay north and west of Berlin, not by much. Of course, New Berlin sits south of the interstate. Berlin sits north of the interstate, and the fairgrounds are down in that area. The Sangamon County Fairgrounds, yeah, there they are, in New Berlin. Familiar with that. This will be a northwestern Sangamon County issue from Bradfordton to the north and west on 125, Tallulah perhaps downstream, where we're going to watch for you from some other storms. I think this storm stays south of you. This mainly seems to be a Farmingdale, Richland, Salisbury, Bradfordton problem, and areas that are along some of the rural roads here in Pleasant Plains Road north of Berlin with this particular storm as it moves off to the north and to the east. The latest radar update continuing to look fairly impressive there with that inflow notch in the storm as it moves now north of 72. I'm going to go ahead and control our Springfield camera on this computer, Amelia, and I'm going to kind of look for some things here. If we can bring the camera full, it should be on either Weather Metrics 1 or Camera 1. That's in Pontiac. Let me switch that over to Springfield real fast. There we go. Springfield's up. I'm going to control it a little bit and start zooming in. It's a very soupy and muggy day here in central Illinois, and many of you have commented about that. You've said, hey, it is muggy and soupy, and it feels raw and nasty, and the wind also has been very strong today. That's going to lead problems for visibility for us here. These storms are sitting low to the ground, and at this point from this angle, it's still far enough away where we may not be able to see much of anything quite yet. Unlike the storms in early May that we used this camera for, and I'm going to have to focus it here to try and help it pan in, so it's going to come in and out and find its focus. We're looking in the general direction of where that storm is. We have one of our photographers that's heading towards Bradfordton. I'd like him to be at Bradfordton where the grain elevators that caught fire a couple of months ago. I'd like him to be there, and then he can backtrack on Illinois 4 and go past the airport north and 29 to give us another view. Just by chance, Lauren, will he be able to talk to us or have live images? What's his plan? We don't know yet. Okay, so just okay. We do have Kevin. Okay, we have Kevin out there. Let's go ahead and check in with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy and the storm tracker if we can also, and we'll continue to watch this camera here. There's Kevin now. He continues his trek down Highway 54 towards Sangamon County. Kevin, tell us a little more about what you've seen and where you're heading.
All right, so I have been just kind of getting in position for these storms. There's a lot of different cells that we're kind of watching along that whole line. We're going to have to keep a close eye on some of these little cell mergers that are starting to happen as well along this. But I am actually just going to be coming into Lincoln. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be passing by the National Weather Service office. It's actually going to be coming up here on my, I believe on my right here in just a little bit. And so I'm heading towards that line. That storm, that is tornado warned, that has that hook, is going to continue to move to the north and east and may eventually cross I-55. and I'm going to be targeting kind of up towards the Sherman, Williamsville area. I'm going to get on 55 there and start heading south as soon as I get through Lincoln, and we're going to see these storms. You can see on the picture here, those are the dark skies that are just ahead of me, where that line of storms are located. So again, the one storm right now that has that hook on it, the one down there just north of Berlin, there would be a fairly clear path of view into that storm if we can get in position. So we're just going to south on 55, head towards the Bradwell area, head towards Elkhart down to Williamsville, as that storm continues to kind of track there to the north and east, and try and get in position to be able to see this better. But I'm also just keeping an eye on these other storms. As we get a little bit closer, you're going to be able to pick out a little bit more definition on the clouds, as I'm already starting to notice some of that, because we have these other cells that they're not warned right now, but definitely, as you were talking about, we have low cloud heights today. These storms are sitting fairly low to the ground, and so there's going to be a lot of what we call kind of scud, a lot of what we basically talk about as low-hanging clouds. Now, what we look for in those are going to be rotation within that. Now, you can maybe start to pick out some of the shelf characteristics to our line that's coming in. You can see on our camera in front of us, and then if you look off there, maybe to the kind of center lower left area where there is some clouds that are lowering here in a little bit. And I'm just going to stay with you because I just want people to see here in just a second the Doppler radar that we use, and you can barely see it there. It's going to be coming up here in just about a minute or so, is the big white dome. We've talked about it, that it looks like a big golf ball or soccer ball, or depending on how you describe it. But that is the Doppler radar that we use to track these storms here. It's at the Lincoln National Weather Service office, and you're going to see that white dome here ahead. And it's going to be here on my right. That's what's tracking the storms. And then when you see the radar, it literally is that right there. And actually, when we come up here into Lincoln, we're going to get a pretty good little view of this little shelf cloud kind of coming in, and some of these low-hanging clouds as well. So we're coming right into Lincoln where that line is coming in. And I got to tell you, there are a few little notches that are trying to develop as well. If you can see on the radar there, just west of Lincoln, there's trying to become a little bit of a hook there. We're going to have to monitor that one closely because that storm there, all of these storms along here are going to be running into a pretty conducive environment for rotation with them. As you mentioned, boy, is it soupy. It is very muggy out here. And here it is. That's that Doppler radar, as we talked about it, sitting on top of the tower there. And that on the right is the National Weather Service in Lincoln that issues the tornado warnings, the severe thunderstorm warnings that you see. So that Doppler radar there is scanning the skies, and that's what you're seeing for us on television when we plot that radar up there. Okay, so we're kind of coming into Lincoln here right now. And again, as I mentioned, you see those little fingers that are kind of coming down there a little bit. So we're going to watch those areas there and just monitor that, because again, it doesn't take long for some of these to kind of spin something up, but it is definitely something that's got my attention here. We're going to watch that, and we're going to watch the other storm that's coming out of Sangamon County that currently has that tornado warning, that still has that hook on it. So the good thing is the Weather Service, they've got a great view of this storm as well. I'm sure somebody's peeking out their window and also using the radar as well. So, all right, Jacob, we'll send it back to you here, and I'm going to get in reposition here and just kind of keep checking on these storms, and we'll keep you up to date.
All right, thanks, Kevin, for that. So I want to point a couple of things out with this warning. Now, the storm now is due north of New Berlin on Pleasant Plains Road here, and we're going to watch it closely. This is New Berlin. There's Farmingdale. There's Springfield. Here's Sherman. The warning does not include Springfield proper. Bradfordton sits right here. You've got the highway that takes you to Ashland right in here towards Farmingdale. Moving pretty close to there at this point as it moves off to the north and to the east. Let's go ahead and show our sky cam from Springfield, because I think what we're going to see, I'm going to let Amelia switch that over, actually. Should be in the graphics. Amelia, if you can click the sky cam and pull me back on the chroma key, I'd like to take a look at that here. And perhaps we'll get that to work maybe. Do we have Max 1 or Max 2 behind me? That'd be Max 2 behind me if we can have that for this. and it is max 2. There's the sky cam. Perfect. Here we go. So this right here is that lowering we're watching to the west of Springfield near Jacksonville. You notice how soupy it looks. It's a very difficult way to look because this storm is about 15-20 miles west of town, but we know that there's a base right here. In fact, this feature right there maybe sticks out to me a little bit of a possible funnel cloud. The problem with this camera is once we turn it a little more to the right, we hit a pole that stands in front of our camera. But we're going to watch that very closely here, and I'll leave that full screen. Boy, that's impressive look here from Springfield. Of course, Kevin now in Lincoln of the storm, and as it moves on in that general direction. So again, that's our sky cam view in Springfield right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drive things here from the pod, and I'm going to turn the camera a little bit. We'll leave the camera full screen. See, the problem is right there, we've got this pole that's in the screen. And, okay, so still having a, so we're just going to lose that shot for a little while, but eventually it's going to turn a little bit more, starting to make a little bit of definition from that storm here, the base of it. But likely there, right behind that pole, is the feature that we're watching and continuing to monitor very closely here from the storm. So we're going to watch this storm closely here. I'm going to bring back the radar and talk more about what we expect and what we're seeing right now with this particular warning in Sangamon County. And that's going to continue at least until 2:45. The storm itself, I feel like it's moving a little quicker here. It's already approaching Illinois 125, south and east of Pleasant Plains, and we're looking at this little feature right here. Our camera sits right there in downtown. If I can come on the screen for me here. Our camera sits right here in downtown Springfield, looking off to the west and northwest. One problem is on the roof of the hotel downtown we're sitting at, there's just a metal pole there for communications, so we kind of miss a vantage point. But we could see that area of lowering right here, and we're going to watch that closely. As it starts to move across 125, getting towards Illinois 97 and near Salisbury, we'll get another great view of that here as it gets even closer. Our photographer should be heading out this way on Illinois 125 towards Illinois 97 near Gardner and Bradfordton. Of course, the Springfield Capitol Airport sits here. The warning in effect for those who live north of Springfield Airport on Illinois 29, and it goes right up to Sherman with this particular warning. Likely going to see an extension of this based on all things we continue to monitor with this particular storm. The one storm that has warning is this one right here, though I do anticipate an extension of that. All right, we do have a new photo that's coming in here shortly, and this is from Alexander. We're going to get that in a moment. And when we do, just pull that on. We continue to watch this tornado warning storm in the Springfield area. The latest update now has it crossing 125 right now, very near the Farmingdale area. And that's going to be what we watch here. Looks like we got the photo in. This is from... That's not it. That's some old pictures. We're working on it. And if you want in the back, the yesterday photos, we can trash those. We'll get new photos today. But we do have a photo from this storm, as well as the view that we continue to look at and monitor. And just checking my camera again while we're behind the scenes here. I'm not in vantage point of it, but we'll get another view here as it moves off to the east and carries closer, sitting very low to the ground, that's for sure, as we watch here this storm that's in Sangamon County. So that's a photo yesterday from Danforth, some damage that I see in the preview screen there. So we will get that photo from Alexander shortly. What I do want to mention is let's talk downstream real fast, and whenever you get the right photo, just shoot a note in my ear. Downstream, we're going to have to start talking about Sherman, Williamsville, Athens, parts of southwestern Logan County, northern Sangamon County, north of Springfield, as this storm gets closer here. Illinois 124, north of Illinois 129 in the Capitol Airport, Athens, Williamsville, up towards Elkhart and Broadwell. This storm heading in that direction. Of course, Kevin's sitting right up here and will continue to move. So this is the photo from earlier. This is from near Alexander. You can see the well-defined wall cloud sitting very close to the ground. When we have storms sitting very close to the ground like this, when we have rotation like that, when there's some spin there, like this storm has had, it doesn't take much to bring it down to the ground. Most of the time in central Illinois, our storms sit a little bit higher, but the soupy air mass really allows for these storms to hug the ground closely and continue to cause some problems. All right, we did get a new tornado warning. I thought it would happen soon. This is for Mclane County. This is for now a tornado that is tornado down near Allen. on Route 9 west near Danvers. This is going to be from Mclane County, north and west of Bloomington. This does include Bloomington Normal, and it does include Danvers. The Mitsubishi Motorway Parkway sits right here. Interstate 74, Interstate 39, Interstate 55, the north side of Normal and Bloomington under this tornado warning. This also includes Hudson. It's going to include Kappa, Dry Grove, Danvers here, as this area of rotation now very close to Route 9 west of Bloomington, moving off to the north and east. So we'll get that posted on social real quick here. That's a new tornado warning that just came in for Mclane County in the area. If you don't mind, in control, on the screen, the story wall right, can we switch the images we have so I can see Kevin's shot onto the right side of story wall, position 4? That'd be helpful for me because I can see he's starting to get in some storms. And I'd like to keep him close. But this now a very impressive signature, very close to State Route 122 and State Route 9, south of Danvers. Very impressive signature in that storm in Mclane County. So likely we need to treat that as a tornado down and continue to monitor this storm closely for a while. Amelia, if you don't mind, I'd like you to talk a little bit more about both of these warnings. And if you've gotten the post on social yet, if you're working on that, that's fine. We'll let you do that. Say it again.
I'm just getting this posted right now.
Okay, she's pushing social, so I'll have you take over for a second so I can get some more content posted. But now a second tornado warning, that's scrolling on the bottom of your screen, and that's going to include Mclane and Mclane County in our area. That'll be to the west and north of Bloomington, including Normal. And storm itself is moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. 11 miles west of Bloomington near Danvers, and that will be heading towards the Heartland Community College. You've got the baseball stadium on the north side there, up towards Hudson and Kappa, Dry Grove. North side of Bloomington Normal needs to seek shelter here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. I do want to drop back, though, for our storm that is down in Farmingdale, very close, Salisbury and Gardner, Green Acres. Eventually, our photog will be out there and be able to look at it, too. So we're going to watch all of these storms. This warning in Sangamon County expires shortly, but we expect an extension of the warning, and they're continuing to watch rotation near Salisbury. Spotters now saying by the Richland Elevator Road, rotation spotted in Sangamon County from this storm, and I believe it the way it would be. Okay, just updating information and getting lots of messages in. Let's see here. Okay, it's just some text in the area. Seeing some reports come in now from the city of Springfield. Apologize, we're getting some information out to the apps and whatnots and kind of covering our base here. This storm now in Sangamon County is going to be crossing Illinois 125 right now south and east of Pleasant Plains by about 3-4 miles. And I'm going to bring the sky cam up here when we get the next frame. By now the storm probably has crossed 125. Pleasant Plains, you're in the clear from this storm. Farmingdale, I need a little more time. Gardner to the north and west there. You can see the river north and west of Springfield. A lot of homes in that area. A lot of people live there and have a nice lifestyle over there. This storm heading your way, eventually towards Green Acres. Not the place to be right now. Salisbury, Illinois 97 to the north and west. There you go, the latest update. Salisbury, this is about 2-3 miles to the south of there. Now this tornado has crossed 125 in Sangamon County, and a new warning will be coming shortly with a report of rotation at Route 97 and Salisbury Road. I'll tell you what. There's Route 97, there's Salisbury Road, so that's right in this area where we're seeing this rotation. Now, Salisbury needs to be in their shelter at this point, and we need to treat this as if it's a tornado down based on the rotation amounts that we've seen with the storm. I suspect any minute now a new tornado warning will come. That will be for Athens, Illinois 124 into Sherman, Williamsville. Elkhart sits here. There's the big coal mine out there in Elkhart, Broadwell. Perhaps in that general direction is where this storm will be heading, but now this is one of 2 tornado warnings in central Illinois that we'll have to bounce back and forth for. And we may get some more the way things look on radar now in the area. All right, let's go ahead and bring Kevin just full screen. I want to look at his shot and show people where he's at. He looks like he's on the frontage road along Interstate 55 now, and that's in the SK Exterior Storm Tracker. He is heading off to the south and east there. Look at that low cloud base as he moves to the south and west of Lincoln. And looking at some of those storms here, there's no immediate indications of any tornadoes or severe thunderstorms in Logan County near Lincoln. But there is some heavy rain on Illinois 10 west of Lincoln, on Illinois 121 north of Lincoln, on Illinois 155 north of town. And so we're going to watch those very closely. Of course, he's looking to position himself into the storm in different parts of the area there as we continue to watch his shot. So again, there's Kevin's shot. Let's go ahead and bring the radar back full and talk more about this Mclane County storm. Boy, is that impressive to me. This is south of Danvers, near Illinois 9 and 122. Very concerned about the rotation at this point with this storm. As it moves off to the north and east, it'll be heading towards the Mitsubishi plant, or I guess it's the old Mitsubishi plant. It's been a while since I've been over that way. You cross 74 then to west of Bloomington Normal. This will include the north side, much of the city of Normal. If you're watching in Bloomington, you're on the south side of Route 9 in Bloomington proper, east of Interstate 55. You'll be in the clear. Some of those south side Bloomington areas got some heavy rain last night and some serious flooding. This tornadic storm appears that it will be more to the north and west, particularly in Normal. I want to say Bloomington at this point, most of Bloomington's okay. I think this is more of a Normal problem, a Mitsubishi's motorway problem, US 150 Interstate 74 exit problem, and then eventually down towards Hudson and Kappa from this particular storm. A very clear signature here of is, if it's not yet, it's darn close, a tornado in Mclane County. Let's go ahead and pull me full screen so I can pull some things out here and point them out. This here is your Supercell Thunderstorm. The updraft of the storm sits here, and it curves around like that. Your rear flank downdraft is wrapping in here, and this very well may be a tornado down. Understand the radar, of course, every 3 or 4 minutes we get a new image, probably sitting more right about here to the south and east of Danvers by about 3-4 miles as it continues to the north and east towards Interstate 74. Really think Normal. West of Bloomington on Route 9, US 150 west of Bloomington, Interstate 74 in northwestern Mclane County. We've got to treat this as a serious situation as we continue to watch it very closely into the area as that warning carries off to the north and to the west. We're going to watch these individual storms too. I know Kevin is, looks like he's south. I want to say he's south of Lincoln. I'm just checking he's on his way to Elkhart now. And watching that storm closely and keeping an eye on it for now. I do want to update, perhaps right now, some of the better news that we can share is that the tornado warning has not been extended for Sangamon County or Menard County. That warning did expire a couple of minutes ago. The National Weather Service does say that behind the scenes they're continuing to evaluate this storm. There's a number of storm spotters in that area, some high-profile storm chasers, in fact. Watching that storm closely too. Still an indication of some weak rotation near Salisbury, but maybe the storm not likely to produce a tornado right now. We'll go ahead and pull our sky cam up, and if we can bring it full screen, I think that may give a little better of a view for folks at home. The visibility not great from this particular storm, and you know, we're looking off to the north and northwest a little bit. You can see how low the clouds are off in the distance there. If you see anything, it's going to be hard-pressed to see it with this camera based on how muggy it is, how much moisture there is in place, and how the view just really not conducive for storms here. Not a highly visible day like other days may be in central Illinois. Of course, we're playing around with the camera and showing that storm to the east, but that rotation is tucked in there now, looking a little more north, looking a little more ragged as well, I would suggest, based on what we're seeing here from this particular storm. So that may be some good news for folks in Sherman and Williamsville, Elkhart, and where Kevin is heading. If Kevin hears me, I'm making sure he's hearing that as well. Doesn't mean the storm is done yet, but it just means at this point the National Weather Service does not see the need to continue with this warning for Sangamon County, but I will let you know if that changes, and I would suggest that folks in Elkhart, Williamsville, Athens, Broadwell, Middletown, even up towards Lincoln, we'll want to watch very closely here as we're having some focusing problems with the camera. And we're going to watch it closely here as well into the region, that area of rotation, not as obvious as it was before, but still evidence nonetheless on radar. Quick check on our tornado watch. It continues for all of those counties in yellow here tonight until 7 p.m. We'll bring the graphics, or myself, here we are. This watch does include a lot of folks, and you've got the notice first on your WCIA 3 weather app. We've got one tornado warning now for Mclane County, including the city of Normal and even part of the city of Bloomington. And that's another storm we really are going to have to watch closely here. I'm going to find out where my dad is real quick and get a check-in and see if I could get any information. They were hanging out in Mclane County and watching it. And so we're going to see if we can't hear anything from them. Kevin's watching those more southern storms. Mom and Dad, they're watching that storm in Mclane County closely, I think, the way it's going. So I'm just passing along some information to them as we contact with our network of sky watchers and storm chasers into the area. This one tornado warning continues for the region in central Illinois. So I'm looking at, we got lots of information. Lots of information here into the region coming in all at once. And we're just deciphering it all. We're looking at it all, but very much watching all of these storms. Right now, the one tornado warning we have. Seeing some updates coming out. Still a very strong sign of rotation that is west of Bloomington. And it's going to be south and east of Danvers, heading towards Dry Grove, and moving off to the north and east. This will cross Interstate 74 somewhere near the Mitsubishi Motorways, Boy, that's a tongue twister there. West of Bloomington Normal here. Heartland Community College sits right there. The baseball park, the Bloomington ball team, I think they're the Corn Jerkers. The name, does that sound right? Anyone know? It's been a while since I've been to a game there, but if you're in that area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They have great ball games on a nice Friday night. That will be passing more likely just to the north and west of there, north of Interstate 55. That's that new 3-lane that wrapped around. They built that finally and finished construction a few years back, and will carry off to the north and east. Hudson sits here. We've also got Kappa out there. Lake Bloomington is over here. There's Towanda, and this one will probably hug along Interstate 55 through the rest of Mclane County for a little while longer here as it continues into northern and northeastern Mclane County. Again, we're watching this storm with our one tornado warning, but a number of storms still in issue for the region with little areas of rotation, but you can really see right here that hook that wraps around your inflow notch. There's a sign that that's probably picking up pretty well. We do have a camera in Bloomington. I'm going to pull that camera up real quick, and the unfortunate thing about that camera is that we are not able to control it. It is stationary, and Amelia, if you're able to get that camera, I'm seeming to not... there it is. Okay, perfect. We just got that over, so we can pull that up in the camera shot there. This is in downtown Bloomington, and it's looking off to the west over downtown. We don't get a great vantage point, but I think in the distance there, in fact, if you can make sure that I'm on the chroma key for this one, I'd really appreciate that. I'm going to walk over there and point out a few things. Off in the distance there, we may actually squeeze a little bit of a view, and I'm just going to walk over there real quick and then step back, and I do want to check in with Kevin with his shot after this also. This right here is going to be that area of circulation. In fact, Amelia, if you could press the Skycam one on your computer there, that'll turn the Skycam one on. That should be the Bloomington camera full screen there. And so we'll get that up, and that way I can walk into the chroma key for that one. And that's Springfield still. We need to switch it from source 2 also. So there's that. You just click that and click that one there. So that's going to be on the chroma key here. Off in the distance, so you're seeing a little bit of structure tucked in between the buildings here. This storm looking off to the west. The updraft of the storm is actually right here. It's very humid. There's not a whole lot we can look at, and we can't move this camera. But right there is going to be that area of rotation west of Bloomington by about 5 to 10 miles as it moves off to the north and east, from left to right. And it may get a little bit closer here into downtown Bloomington. But we've got these buildings that are in the way also. So that's going to be hard for us to look at as that storm continues in that general direction. So we're going to watch this storm particularly close here, and we'll use this camera as best we can. I will mention my dad and my mom are on the way to that storm. They're in eastern Mclane County. They're going to try and catch that storm out by Towanda here into the region. So we still are watching this one storm into the region. I'd like to see if we've got Kevin now. He's in Logan County. Kevin, it has been a busy day so far here in central Illinois, and we've had a number of tornado warnings. You are watching some storms in Logan County and more. Tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing in the storm tracker.
Okay, so I am literally sitting in Elkhart. I am looking to the southwest. That's the view you see, and that is going to be where that once tornado-warned storm was located. These are some really low-hanging clouds that we talked about. So much moisture low to the ground. And so you're seeing here off in the distance that shelf cloud there, and we're looking for wall clouds. We're looking for any rotation with these, but definitely an impressive view here as the storm is going to be passing here eventually over I-55. We are again in Elkhart. We're looking to the south and west at the storm that once had the tornado warning on it, into portions of Sangamon County. And so as you can see here, you're going to have a little bit more definition starting to show up with the with that shelf cloud there, and with you just kind of see that kind of coming in there in the kind of lower third of your screen. So again, as I look to the south and west, I'm just trying to see that clear view into where that notch once was located. We're not seeing really much in the way of rotation, but man, the clouds are definitely very low to the ground here and all along this, and we're just starting to get a few showers. There's actually a little cell that's just to the south of us here that's coming in between Williamsville and Elkhart. And so again, between Elkhart and Williams, there's just a little cell, so I'm catching some of those showers. But what you're actually looking at off in the distance is that storm that is over the Athens area, Cantrell, and moving to the north and east. So I again am located in extreme southwestern Logan County, and just going to be coming on the northern Sangamon County line as we just kind of watch that cell, because this was the one that was tornado warned for a long period of time here. We'll throw on the windshield wipers there, clear off some of that, so you can kind of see that cloud, kind of very low shelf cloud there. Again, none of that is rotating with this, but you get on the leading edge of this, you can get some pretty strong winds with it, your heavy rainfall, the downdraft part of the storm. And again, all along that area, we just have to watch it, because these have a tendency to kind of spin up quickly and suddenly can get a tornado to drop here. We're in that kind of atmosphere. It is so juicy. It is very, very muggy. I mean, just incredible how much moisture is really out there, which is why we've got some of these very low clouds here off in the distance, as you can see from our camera view located here. There are some spotters out here, keeping an eye on these, and that's the nice thing. We've got eyes on these storms. The other storm we'll just start to take a little bit notice of as well is going to be another one that's going to be down towards the New Berlin area. Once again, there's another little cell down there that's starting to ramp up a little bit. But the one that you're looking at here, again, was the one that was tornado warned earlier. We're just going to have to continue to kind of watch it and see how it develops. But again, now we're starting to get a little bit more obscured from some of the view because of this shower that's kind of passing over us here. But any moment, we're going to start to see those winds pick up. And I haven't seen a ton of lightning from these storms, which sometimes can be an indicator of a stronger storm if you can get that lightning to kind of ramp up. And I'm seeing a little bit less in it than what we had a little bit earlier. The other thing that I want to mention, boy, there's been an absolute ton of rain over the last couple of days here, and I have been navigating my way over roads to the best of my ability to, stay out of water as much as I can. And it's been tough on some of those country roads and whatnot because of how much rain we have seen. We shot some video earlier up in the Farmers City area of a very flooded park, and as you come into the area there, and that's all over, especially Mclane County. I'm really worried about up there in Mclane County, as they had 7 inches of rain last night, and now they're getting even more. So we've got the storm up there that we continue to monitor. That's coming in there northwest of Bloomington. Still a pretty good little hook there. That's going to be just north and west of normal. And Jacob, I want to let you talk a little bit more about that as I kind of evaluate things and reposition and see what we're going to do next here. See if this storm can do anything. If it starts to do anything a little bit more ominous, I'll let you guys know. And we'll send it back to you for now and talk about that other tornado warned storm.
All right, thanks, Kevin. We're watching those storms now. The Mclane County tornado warning is the one warning we have. And you saw in Kevin's shot, we get a little glimpse of the storm, but the rain coming down so much really reduces the visibility. This is another look that we get to use. We try and use as many viewpoints as possible. This is Radar Scope. It's a great app to have. This is normal. This is Bloomington. Illinois State sits right here. Heartland Community College is right here. Carlock sits right there. Goodfield is over here. There's a good restaurant out in Goodfield. Up here is Kappa. Here's Hudson. The tornado now here in Bloomington, likely crossing at the exit near Mitsubishi Motorways and Interstate 74 as it carries to the north and to the east. It'll head towards Hudson. Lake Bloomington sits out here as well in this area, a lot of residential areas. But also catching my eye is this storm right here now to the west of Towanda, north of Bloomington Normal, south and east of Hudson. It has that same curve shape, that backwards J shape, and that may be an indication that we're trying to get another area of circulation to spin up, and that would be heading eventually towards Lexington. Really, both of these storms coming in this direction. Lexington sits here. Towanda is right there. Chenoa sits right here. There's Colfax. You've got Anchor right there. Cooksville is right there. You've got Myrna right here. Bloomington Airport sitting right there. This storm is on the northwest side of Bloomington Normal and will continue to cross Interstate 39 between Kappa and Bloomington Normal, the Interstate 55 exit there. And you've got the 139, I think it is, the little bypass into the north side. Veterans Parkway is right here. That's the big highway with all the shops and the stores, the malls right off of there in this area. This tornado likely to stay just to the north of Interstate 55, just to the north of Heartland Community College, just to the north of the ballpark, and it will cross very near Hudson on the interstate right there in that area. Just wanted to check some other things and make sure area-wide. This is our one tornado warning. See how it's wrapped up in the rain, and see all of this rain right in here? There's a lot of heavy rain coming down here. And this generally is moving in a northeastward fashion. Look where that's heading. That's heading towards Mclane County. We're going to see areas near Hayworth, Farmer City, Bloomington Normal with another 2 to 4 inches of rain tonight based on these storms. And that's a concern where these storms are training over each other. Farmer City, actually, I should say maybe a little bit ahead of this, but it seems like Hayworth, Mclane, Bloomington, where they had the heaviest rain last night and the significant flash flooding. Interstate 55, that's right here. Lincoln to Bloomington up here. Right in here, it's closed. Look at all that rain that's coming in. That's going to flood that even more. I encourage no travel at this point on Interstate 55 from Springfield to Bloomington and even up towards Chicago, as there's going to be some serious flooding potential with these storms as they continue in that direction. More storms continuing to form now. This is that storm that Kevin is on and watching. He's really watching all of these storms. And if Kevin can hear me, by Atlanta, north of Lincoln, I'm pretty interested in a feature there on radar. I think he was getting in this little rain right here. This is the remnants of that storm near Athens. Still out ahead of the main line, but still very possible that it could... Kevin wants to toss to him. Let's toss to Kevin now. And so he's out there on the storm. Kevin, what are you seeing?
Yeah, okay, so we're out here, we're watching this storm again that is in Sangamon County that was once warned. You can see this right here that is behind me is that shelf cloud. This is what you're going to see that is going to bring the very heavy rain, the very strong winds. Now what we look for is look how low this cloud base is. This is a really low cloud base here. We look for any lowerings along this. I'm not seeing anything. You can see a lot of rain that's out there. See the really dark area? That's kind of right there. That's the heavy rainfall, maybe sometimes some hail. But all along this area here, very fast motions in the sky with this. And again, this is our storm that we're watching that's going to be coming into eventually Sangamon and Logan County here where we're located at Elkhart as we're looking kind of to the south and west here. And so this is what we're going to follow and possibly follow back as you were talking about that other line. But again, a very low cloud base here. And so that's kind of the key thing that we're looking at for the potential of any spin-up tornadoes. We've got our eyes on this, but it won't take much. That's the thing. We've had funnels, we've had rotation with some of these, and it won't take much because of how low this cloud base already is to maybe bring that funnel down that could actually touch down. So we're going to watch this carefully here, monitor it, and maybe shoot back up there to the north and east here and just kind of follow this along and see what's going on. But just wanted to show you this because it's a pretty impressive view that we've got of that shelf cloud here as it's coming through. So we'll send it back to you for now, and we're going to reposition here.
All right, Kevin, stay safe out there. We appreciate your coverage and you bringing us these impressive pictures from the storm tracker of that low clouds here. And that's a concern with how low these clouds are today. Normally they don't sit that low, but when they do, sometimes that can allow for any rotation. It doesn't have as much distance to travel from the clouds to the ground. So that is something that has to be watched individually with these storms very closely for the next little bit. A couple of updates right now. I do want to mention first off the warning for Mclane County continues until 3:15. Whether or not there's an extension, we'll wait and see. But I tell you what, that area of circulation now has passed the US 150 Mitsubishi Motorways exit on 74. It is now sitting to the north and west of Normal. This is all where Normal proper is here, but there's a lot of rural zip codes north side of Normal. Here's 39, 51 here. That takes you down in Main Street in Normal. This is Veterans Parkway over there. This storm is carrying to the north and east. Hudson and Kappa next in line. Other areas we'll be watching is for downstream to see if this warning is extended. And from what I'm seeing, it looks pretty impressive enough where that is something we'll consider at this time. The one tornado warning we have for Mclane County does go until 3:15. They're still saying there's strong rotation on this storm near Hudson. I have not heard of any reports of tornadoes or anything like that down from that. And I'm just checking all these different looks and signatures here. A lot of information, again, that we process. Here's the rotational signature. You can clearly tell that there's rotation wrapped up right in here. This green, an indication of winds going towards the radar. One problem we have is the storm is running parallel to the radar beam, so it doesn't look as impressive. But we know here that inflow winds are coming in, the rear flank downdraft wrapping around, and that's going to be about 1, 2, 3, 4 miles south of Hudson. On the board here as it continues to the north and east, very close to Hudson. The National Weather Service is concerned right now for Hudson and areas north of Bloomington Normal. Just to give you an idea of some things here, Evergreen Lake sits right up here east to the west and north of Hudson. I think this storm will pass just south and east of there. However, when you're down to the south end of Evergreen Lake, it trails off into the creek. I am worried about that area towards Hudson. That'd be kind of part of the southern side of Evergreen Lake. The park that's up there, you've got the Lake Bloomington exit north of Hudson where Kappa is. From there south on 39 really is going to be the greatest concerns. In fact, right there you can see this is where the Evergreen Lake Bloomington exit is. Hudson exit is here. This is Bloomington Normal, and Kappa sits behind this banner. The other areas I'm concerned eventually is after Hudson. This is heading for Lake Bloomington on the north and east side of Hudson. East side of Hudson, I should say. And as that continues in that general direction, there's quite a few people that call that area home. You know, some of these lakes in the area have nice, peaceful neighborhoods, but this storm is meaning to do business in that area based on the signature we're watching continuing in that general direction. Downstream, then, we want to give a heads up. This should stay just to the north of Towanda, but then you've got Lexington, you've got Money Creek, you've got Gridley, Meadows, Chenoa that are next in line from the storm if they decide to extend a warning. And then we'll be talking about even some of our friends in Livingston County, potentially, based on how things are going. Let's take a look area-wide. This is our one tornado warning. It's why we're keeping coverage now here as folks in this area north and west of Bloomington need to seek shelter. This storm is continuing to the north and to the east. The general sign that I almost look at now is that these storms are very narrow but very strong, and continuing to monitor things here. We're going to have to watch that entire line for rotation from this point on, even though we have that one tornado report, one tornado warning, I should say. These other storms here, here's Chenoa, here's Gridley, there's Lexington, Pontiac, Sonneman, Chatsworth, Forest, Fairbury. This batch of storms right here has started to indicate a little bit of rotation at times. One spot near Gridley, another spot here west of Lexington near Lake Bloomington. The National Weather Service office in Lincoln covers Mclane County. The National Weather Service office in Chicago covers Livingston County. And so we'll have two different ideas of what are going on here. The National Weather Service in Chicago, they say that they are watching some rotation and seeing things merge together with that particular storm. I'm going to go, if we can, let's double box Kevin real fast. I'm kind of looking at his shot. I'd like to have that double boxed on the screen if we can at some point. And I'm also going to try and pull up the Springfield camera and get a vantage point to the north. Starting to grow more impressed by that storm near Williamsville from Kevin's viewpoint. And it may be trying to rotate more based on what I'm looking at from Kevin. So we can get him double box. There you go. You see Kevin's feet in the storm tracker on the right side. Of course, he's north of Springfield, kind of by Elkhart down towards Williamsville, looking at that storm closely. And then I'm going to pull the Springfield camera up on Storm Tracker Doppler here and show you that. Because I want to turn that Springfield camera to the north and see if we don't get another vantage point. So when we do that, Springfield camera now is looking a little more west of north, and I'll turn that here to the right. We want it to look north towards the Capitol Airport. in that general direction to give you a vantage point as it turns more. Sometimes we get things in the way, and that's how it works, but it does appear the airport off in the distance there, you can see the lowering that Kevin's also watching, and we'll turn it back a little bit here towards the more westward direction. From low clouds, some reduced visibility from this storm as it continues to the north and east, but there's other storms that are in there as well. And so we'll be using these cameras to sweep through and identify any areas of rotation and more. Going to continue to monitor things here from this storm and this vantage point as Kevin's watching that now come near overhead into the region. All right, let's go back to radar full screen, and if Kevin has anything in the back, let me know. I can see on the story wall, the camera's in my way a little bit, but y'all be my eyes and ears back there. Kevin does want to talk, actually, from what I'm seeing here. So Kevin, first off, I want to reiterate the concern for Mclane County. There's a rotation now crossing Interstate 39 near Hudson, but you're also watching some storms. Tell us what you're seeing down in Logan County. Do we have Kevin? Did we lose him?
Oh, are we there? Can you hear me?
All right, we've got you, Kevin. We can hear you now. Kevin, tell us what you're seeing. All right, it looks like
really rapid.
There he is. Sorry,
kind of rotation that we've got. No, you're good. You're good. Pretty rapid storm motion here. You can see some rising motion on this storm. We are literally sitting in Elkhart. We're looking to literally due west. This thing is about on top of us here, but we're watching these little. You can see right there. You know, there's possibly some rotation that's trying to occur with this. I mean, we're going to have to reposition here in just a few seconds because this thing is about to come over the top of us here. But definitely some big motion. Just look at that. You can see the motion here on just the camera shot that we've got. So again, this storm here is definitely ramping up a little bit more than what we had just a little bit ago. Again, we're in Elkhart. We're looking at the storm here. It's going to be crossing over I-55 here before too long. But we're going to follow this here, reposition now, and let you know what we see. But we're about to take the brunt of this here. So we're gonna reposition and keep an eye because these are some extremely low hanging clouds here, and we're gonna have to monitor it because these could drop a funnel here at any time because we are seeing some rotation within this. We're going to reposition, and we'll have more coming up here in just a bit.
There we go. We got my mic on finally, so we can talk about these storms here. Kevin is watching that storm. I will mention that the storm near Hudson now is moving towards Lake Bloomington. There has been no indication of an extension of that tornado warning at this point. And we'll wait and see what they decide. The warning itself goes until 3:15, so we've got another 4 minutes before we'll find out whether their plan is. And of course, we're going to watch Kevin's shot really closely here. And we're also looking in Springfield now. This is from Bradfordton. Some of the heavy rain and the wind coming down in the northwest side of Springfield. Our photographer is out there watching things. We've got you covered on all of these storms here. We can see his shot full. There it is. And are we not able to talk to him? Okay, that's fine. So he's watching there in Springfield at more storms. And where again was that shot taken from? This was the Bradfordton area. Okay. And I believe this is earlier. This is not live. Is that correct? This is live video. Okay, so he's watching that next storm down the line as it continues to move to the north and to the east there. So a lot of these individual storms, we're going to have to watch them all closely. This is Kevin's storm right here. And Kevin is continuing to watch this storm near Elkhart. He's going to watch it and monitor it. And then, of course, we're watching another storm in southwestern Mclane County. This storm near Mclane, that's US 136 and Interstate 55, has my eye. And then we're also going to watch this storm near Hudson. There's the new tornado warning. We told you we thought it was going to come here, and that's going to carry it up to the Livingston County line on US 24 near Chenoa and Gridley, as well as areas to the west of Fairbury. It will be mainly Chenoa and Meadows. Gridley not quite in it, but this area of rotation now coming very close to Lake Bloomington. If we get another digital post on this warning too, that'll be good if we can post that on. We'll post that that update, but we're watching all of these different shots now. We've got you covered. My mom and dad are watching the storms in Mclane County. I haven't heard from them, and I'm going to check in with them. We've got Kevin in Logan County. We've got our photographer, Chris, in Sangamon County. All of those folks giving you live coverage from the field of these storms in the area, and we're continuing to monitor. Kevin's shot, man, he's coming into town there. Very impressive looking storm as this is moving on in to the I-55 corridor south and west of Lincoln. If Kevin can hear me, if he needs us at all, just flash yourself on screen and then you can wave the hand if you see something that's concerning or whatnot. But we're going to be watching his feed very closely as he's now moving to the north and to the east along Interstate 55 down in the Elkhart area. This new tornado warning, let's spend a little time with me full screen, please. Me on camera if we can. I'm going to talk a little bit about who's in and who's out. This is for Mclane County, an extension of the rotating storm near Hudson. This is going to include Lake Bloomington, Money Creek. It will include areas north and west of Lexington. It does include Chenoa, Gridley, not quite, but it does include Meadows. It's also going to include Weston, all the way up to Interstate 55 from Lexington to Chenoa. It's moving off to the north and east at a pretty decent clip here, about 30 miles an hour, and will continue to move in the direction of Chenoa. Under my best guess here, I think it will stay south and east of Gridley. I agree with how they have it here. Lexington, it's a close call. I'd like Lexington to be in their shelter, and we're going to watch downstream based on the track of this. We may have to watch for Fairbury and Forest, even towards Pontiac for the region. So let's see here. Just updating some of our storm spotters in the field here. And moving on through the area, of course, Kevin moving through the north and east, listening in to us. We're watching that storm very closely, all of these storms in the region. So one tornado warning at this point, but I think we're riding a very delicate line of seeing more tornado warnings into the region here. That tornado warning right now is for Mclane County, areas north and east of Bloomington towards Lexington and Chenoa. We'll be heading towards Livingston County soon. A first heads up for our friends near Pontiac, Fairbury, up towards Sonneman, and downstream there, and that will carry its way to the north and to the east. I still am very interested in the storm that's near Mclane, and I'm very interested in the storm near Elkhart coming into Lincoln. Still have some interest as well as that storms to the south and west of Springfield, but I'm not as concerned. I think the instability starting to lift away from that here from these storms. So this is the storm now in Springfield, and we've got that Bradfordton shot. You saw the heavy rain in there. Very heavy rain coming down. That's coming from our photographer in Springfield. You know, that rain is really impressive and very much a concern. The rainfall rates are very heavy, and that's going to allow for some very quick flooding. I have not heard of any reports yet, but I imagine that pretty soon we're going to start getting some, especially near Funk's Grove. This storm right here in Funk's Grove coming up from Mount Hope on 136 near Mclane. That sits right here. There's a big truck stop in Mclane on Old 66. They really big spot there. This storm heading into South Bloomington normal towards Funk's Grove is going to cause more flooding. The Funk's Grove here is where the interstate pavement was essentially destroyed because of fast-moving waters. This happened last night from 4 to 7 inches of rain near Funk's Grove. You can see how the pavement is just in chunks and pieces, and it will take a while for them to repair this. I-55 is, from what I understand, and I haven't heard of any new updates on that, I haven't heard of any new updates on its open, but I imagine it's not open, and I expect more water here at the Funk's Grove exit. There's the rest stop on 55 south of town. I expect more problems in the same areas, and I expect more flooding concerns for folks that are in Mclane County, even parts of western DeWitt County. Those areas last night received 4 to 8 inches of rain. This rain is adding insult to injury as it moves off to the north and to the east towards Bloomington. So while we are focusing on the tornado, I want to reiterate that flooding concern. Hayworth, Bloomington, Mclane, Funk's Grove, those areas really got hammered hard, as well as Downs did from storms yesterday and last night. Let's take an area-wide view here, and then if we can, let's double box again. We've got Kevin's shot up. Kevin now wrapped up in the rain there. You can see that on the left side of your screen. And the rain really coming down, the torrential rainfall coming with these. I have not heard of any flash flooding as of yet, but the bar is much lower with this storm compared to a while ago. because of all of the flooding range that we've had. And of course, Kevin is on this storm right here near Elkhart. The National Weather Service did just let us know they're watching this storm very closely. The potential for more rotation to develop in this area is near Elkhart and Broadwell. I know Kevin is hearing us. That rotation also being reported, looks like north of Springfield. I want to make sure that's not the Springfield Airport one here. We'll show the velocity product on that and look at both of them. Okay, here we go. That's important to know. Where is Chris at by chance? If we can let me know where he's located, that'd be helpful for... He's in Bradfordton. Okay, good. So he's still there. We're starting to see indications of a rotational signature develop near J. Davis Jones North Walnut Street. That's Illinois 29 North. Springfield Airport, very close to there. No warning yet. I imagine, though, if it continues on the trend, that may very well become a concern, and a fast concern, for Sherman, Illinois 54 here off to the north and east from Springfield. That's Sangamon Avenue, north to Sherman and Williamsville. That may be a bit of a concern for Springfield and the north side of town. So I'm going to pull that Springfield camera up, and we want to turn and look to the north. More than likely, we're not going to see anything here because it's wrapped up in rain, but there is a circulation that appears to be developing behind that rain wrapped in nature in Springfield. And if that's the case, if it continues that way, we're going to watch it closely. We've got our photographer in Bradfordton. I think he's okay where he is. This seems to be just to the north and east to him. But we'll be watching closely and keeping an eye on the sky. Perhaps maybe we can vaguely make out a base off in the distance there. But let's watch all of those sources very closely between Chris, between the Springfield camera, and between Kevin, as all of these storms starting to show. There it is. New tornado warning just came out north of Springfield here. We're going to get that warning posted on social. This is going to be for the storm over North Springfield. This is now a tornado located over Capitol Airport, or near Sherman, moving to the north and to the east. And so we've got Kevin on the Elkhart storm. We've got Chris on this Springfield storm. We'll keep Chris where he is. He is safe. The rotation is past him, but the rotation now very near Springfield Airport on the north side of Springfield. Sherman, the time is now to take tornado precautions. And we say the Springfield camera. Let's take a look here. You said look at that one. Is that correct? Okay, so we've got the Springfield camera up. Did you see something in there by chance? That's correct. We can see that, but the storm itself is wrapped up in rain at this point. You can faintly make out the vague lowering on that. And Amelia, if you can, have the camera up, the Springfield camera also up on yours, and watch it on your screen. If we may be able to make out if something touches down with this, we'll start seeing some flashes there. But Chris is looking in Bradfordton. If we can turn Chris's camera, if he's able to turn it to the north and east, that will be helpful. I think he's looking more west, but I'd like to look north and east with that. And we're using that Springfield camera as much as we can. I kind of get the idea that we're seeing that area of rotation now develop, but it's very much wrapped up in rain also. Let's also bring the Springfield camera. In fact, if we can have Chris reposition at this point, I think it's safe to do so for him. Let's get him to head towards the Capitol Airport on 29 North in that general direction. Take it nice and slow, but this storm really starting to ramp up here near Springfield. The north side of town, that's very concerning signature to me of where we may very well in any moment have a tornado down in North Springfield based on all indications that we're seeing here. So again, we've got Springfield covered. We're watching the cameras. We're watching Kevin and Elkhart. The wind really picking up there, and that area of circulation is just to the north of town. I think we're looking at it in that full screen there. And what I'm going to have to do is, I apologize. Let's bring back either Kevin's shot or Chris's shot. I'm having this around the other way. In fact, there we go. I tell you what. On this camera, it's okay, perfect. Kevin's up now. I'm going to turn this camera around. I'm clearly seeing the base of that storm really wrap on in, and that's concerning to me, as I think we may in any moment have a tornado down. But we've got to rotate this camera 360 degrees so we can look in the other direction here of it and monitor. So let me just get my bearings straight here. Again, we're going to be seeing the Capitol. There's the Capitol. Those are storms to the west and southwestern part of the county. No concern there, but we'll have a view on those if something does spin up. We're mainly concerned for that storm to the north, and so we're bringing that full around. Of course, Kevin is there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the radar up real fast, and we're going to really focus in on Springfield at this point. Yes, it still appears that there's a tornado likely near Hudson carrying towards Lexington, but this signature now, the rotation showing itself up very close to Sherman, the Sangamon Avenue exit on the north side of Springfield as it carries out of town. The FFA Center's up that way. There's a number of buildings. There's a theater on the north side of town up there. And so all of those are going to be what we watch closely from this. So again, now I'm getting this vantage point turned around, just the way that camera is positioned, it's going to be back behind in there. But that rotation will be very close to the Capitol Airport, now Interstate 55 south of Sherman. I'm just getting some information updated here and checking our sources. So we've got Kevin stream up right now. Let's go ahead and bring the Springfield camera full screen if we can and watch the storm as it continues here. You'll see we're looking north and a bit northeast here. Just the way that that camera is and some of the stuff on, just the way that camera is set, we're not going to be able to see too much, but we know that something's kind of wrapped up in there from that vantage point. And so we're watching all of our cameras and all of our sources closely. Just getting some new information from the National Weather Service. Hang on here. Okay, so the National Weather Service is saying they're really watching that signature very closely in the Springfield area. Again, that camera is going to show us very well what's going on. Let's go ahead and double box again. We'll show you where this tornado is. If Chris can head up towards Springfield Airport and continue towards Sherman, I think that's going to be the best vantage point here, and he's safe to do so. The tornado now is going to be north of Sangamon Avenue exit on I-55, and that's going to be very much between Sherman and Springfield. In fact, Springfield downtown points to the west and points to the south. We can give you an all clear at this point, but this signature very concerning just to the south of Sherman as it carries to the north and to the east. And we're going to watch it very closely as it moves in that direction. That Springfield camera, Amelia's got eyes on it. We're seeing the rain really wrap around it. Very clearly a lowering defined in that area. And the National Weather Service says it's now heading towards Spalding. That's the next in line here. And so let's talk a little bit more about this storm downstream. This is Highway 54. Highway 54 starts at the State Fairgrounds and continues off on Sangamon Avenue to the north and east. Barclay, Kenny is out here. Clinton is just off the screen. Mount Pulaski is sitting right there in the corner. This is Williams, Sherman, Williamsville. Right here, there's the Love's truck stop. I think this is going to pass probably very close to Williamsville, if not just to the south. But Williamsville and Sherman, I need you in your shelters right now. Riverton, I need you in your shelter right now, especially if you live along and north of Illinois 154. Barclay, we're going to watch for you. Spalding, we're going to watch for you. Some very populated areas up there. And soon we may be seeing if there's anything down. We'll show you the velocity on this storm, and it's really cranking up here. You can see that bright green color right here, that's the indication of where that circulation is, halfway between the Sangamon Avenue exit and the Sherman exit, carrying towards Spalding and off towards Williamsville and Sherman. We'll give an all clear for Springfield Airport, Bradfordton, Green Acres, behind the storm. This now seems to be to the east of Interstate 55 in Sangamon County with this storm. And I'm going to look at a different vantage point to give me some of a different view. That rotation really sticks out right here. Right here, there's Bissell, there's Illinois 54, Spalding, Sherman, right here over the interstate. By now, it's probably a little bit more towards Spalding, a little southeast of Sherman. The radar, of course, updates every 4 or 5 minutes, and it continues to do so. If we can, let's bring the Springfield camera forward, because I think we're starting to get a really good view of that storm now, how low it is. We're looking at the base of that storm off in the distance. A very impressive shot here in central Illinois from our Springfield camera and the Flooring America iNet network. We get a real great vantage point from that network as we're watching this likely, if not now, it's darn close to being a tornado in Springfield, and it's darn close to being down now as it exits town, but it's also wrapped up in rain. We're very much more than likely going to have trouble seeing it here, but what we'll still do is we'll play around and zoom in. We're looking to the north and northeast a bit towards the Spalding area, and I'm going to check some of my zoom here and kind of zoom on in. The issue with this is as we look at it, you're going to see all that rain wrapped up in there. If there's a tornado down, it's going to be wrapped up in that rain. Hard to see, and so we're going to reach out to folks in Sangamon County. I have not heard of any damage reports yet, but this is very strong circulation at this point in Sangamon County now, moving to the north and east towards Spalding and to the east of Sherman now in central Illinois. And it's going to be something we watch closely. Quick updates now here. Let's hit the reset button and take a wide view of what we have going on. And we'll watch all those cameras very closely. In Mclane County, we still have a likely tornado down. If we can bring me either full screen on cam or the double box is fine. It doesn't matter. We want to talk about everyone and make sure we're not leaving anyone out. First off, we do have the tornado warning in Mclane County. That rotation now just to the west of Lexington. And that's where my mom and dad are right now, and they're watching the storm. They're trained spawners. We've grown up together, learning about weather, and now they're watching. I'm hoping to get a photo from them now. And if I get that, there we go. I just did get a photo, and I'll get that on Apple TV here momentarily. Actually, I'm going to send it to you, Lauren, if I can. And that'll be coming your way from Lexington. I'll let you handle that one. Should be on the way, Lauren, in the back, and they can get that taken care of. So that's for northern Mclane County. This storm now just to the west of Lexington, heading towards Chenoa. No warning in Livingston County yet, but it will be heading in that general direction. Then, in addition, in Springfield, we now have the tornado warning with a very strong signature on the northeast side of town. Now east of Interstate 55, north of Riverton near Spalding, to the south and east of Sherman. This will be paralleling Highway 54 off to the north and east towards Barclay. Williamsville, we still want you in shelter, but we also want areas on Highway 54 in particular, and this may end up kind of going through the middle land between Illinois 54 and Interstate 55. There's Elkhart, here's Lake Fork, there's Mount Pulaski. There's a lot of rural area out there along the river northeast of Springfield. And so that's what we're going to watch here. Of course, Elkhart and Mount Pulaski have sounded their sirens, warning folks. Technically, Elkhart and Mount Pulaski, not Elkhart, I guess, would be. So here's Elkhart, right barely in that polygon. Mount Pulaski, not quite. But a first heads up, we welcome our viewers from Logan County now as they're tuning in and hearing the sirens go off in those areas. All right, we've got the photo from Lexington. Let's go ahead and pull this photo. This came from my mom and dad as they're out watching the storm near Lexington, and they're seeing that lowering that's been rotating just to the west of Lexington now as it carries off to the north and to the east. And Amelia, if you don't mind, tell me a little bit more of what you're seeing with that storm here. We'll keep that photo up here for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can tell right now that this is a very fast-moving system here, so it will be traveling pretty consistently, very quickly. So all areas, as Jacob has been mentioning, if you are in any of the areas that are in a warning right now, you need to take the proper precautions. I'm looking outside of Springfield right now. There is a major rotation. Again, these clouds are very low to the ground, so if you are in to the Springfield area of the warning issued, definitely need to take the proper precautions as we are seeing rotation, potentially could be seeing a touchdown at any point. We're continuing to monitor the Springfield camera as of right now.
Yeah, and we can pull that Springfield camera full screen to get a vantage point of it. We can get my mic up too. The Springfield camera will tell us more of what's happening as we watch that storm exit town. At this point, we can give an all clear for Springfield proper, west of Interstate 55. Our Mark Maxwell was in Springfield, said the sirens did not sound, and this primarily really picked up quickly and carried itself out of town fast. So by now, the danger is over for North Springfield and Capitol Airport as we watch that storm in Springfield. I'd also like to bring Kevin's shot full screen. It looks like he's maybe down by Sherman now, seeing where he's at, or maybe he's, let me see here. Kevin, do we know where Kevin is by chance? Is Kevin able to talk? Okay, we don't have Kevin. No, Kevin's in Lincoln. Okay, Kevin's in Lincoln. Let's bring his shot full real quick. Look at the rainfall. That's something else that is a bit of a concern here. The heavy rain, there's now a new flash flood warning for parts of Logan, DeWitt, Macon, Menard, and Mclane counties. Say that one more time, I'm sorry. He can't talk? All right, let's go ahead and send it out to Kevin with the heavy rain. Kevin, the storm you're on does not have a tornado warning at this point, but all of these storms do have heavy rain and flash flooding. You're seeing that now. Tell us more about where you are and what you're seeing.
Yeah, I'm here in Lincoln. I'm trying to get back ahead of these storms where I was positioned. It's so hard to get east again, and that is what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to get back east here. Essentially, I'm going to get back on Highway 10. But yes, as I'm driving through Lincoln, wow. I mean, there is a lot of water on a lot of these roads here. And I tell you what, you've got to be careful here. You come across all of a sudden the road, it looks like it's okay, and then you just hit this huge area of water that comes flying up over you. So you've got to keep in mind, some of these areas have seen 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. And so it does not take much now for the flooding to kind of start to really kind of ramp up. So again, I'm going to be getting back on Highway 10 here. As a matter of fact, we're gonna pass back by the Weather Service once again because I want to see both this storm that we're on here and then also the storm that's down to the south that has the tornado warning. I just need to get a better position. The only way I can do that is to get back on Highway 10 there east of this entire line and maybe have a little bit better of a vantage point here. But lots of lightning, torrential downpours, and kind of moving over the same areas here. That's one thing we haven't talked a ton about, the training, what we call the training of these storms over the same area, bringing very heavy rainfall and an already extremely saturated ground as well with all of this. So you can see the heavy rain. I've been in this heavy rain ever since I left my location that you saw me at last near Elkhart as the storm kind of, took over. But now I'm going to be heading back here. And you can see the flashes of lightning. I'm literally going to be coming up on the Doppler radar again. We talked about it earlier. Here's the Doppler radar from the National Weather Service in Lincoln. They're working hard analyzing the storms from the radar view that you see there on your left. And you can barely make it out. If you may recall earlier, you saw a clear view of it, obscured by all of the heavy rainfall and the wind that we're getting here right now. Here in a few minutes, you might come back to me in just a few minutes, because I think that we're going to have probably a clearer view of both of these storms. But I think they also just issued a new warning for the exact location that I'm at. So I'll let you talk about that. I think it's a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Logan County. So that is my location here, and we're going to continue to keep you up to date with what we see. Again, check back with me in a few minutes, and we're going to have a better view as we get out of the rain and have a little bit better of into the dry slot of both of these storms. So heavy rainfall, we'll keep you up to date.
We can get my mic. There we go. We get my mic on, and that way we can keep covering things here. We do want to talk real quick about these flash flood warnings that are in effect. That warning is for a flash flood warning for Logan, DeWitt, McLean counties. That's these polygons here. If we can bounce that full screen real quick, and then we'll go back to the double box. Even cut me off the camera if you don't mind. I'd like to have that just on max 2. There you can see the flash flood warnings. Those are scrolling at the bottom of your screen, and they will be really, the reason being is heavy rain now in areas that have seen significant flooding already. The flash flood watch does continue through at least Sunday morning based on what's going on, but we're seeing lots of heavy rain and wind in that area. Kevin, you did mention the severe thunderstorm warning in Logan County, and that's with the storm that you've been watching there. Look at this now over Lincoln and points towards Atlanta as this batch of severe storms carries to the north and east. I do want to mention, though, there is a new tornado warning for Livingston County, and this is going to include our friends up in Fairbury and in Wing and in Sonneman, in Pontiac and in Chenoa. This storm now rotating very much near US 24 on the east side of Chenoa, about to exit McLean County. On its path, I think it will pass just very close, I should say, to the there's meadows on the west side. We've got Chenoa and Fairbury. Right between Chenoa and Fairbury, there's a little community called Yates, and that will pass very close to there as it carries into Livingston County. This new tornado warning does continue all the way, and the time on that goes until 4:15 for Livingston County. The warning in McLean County will likely be let go as that rotation now entering into Livingston County. The National Weather Service has established that that rotation will continue, and it's going to likely just be barely north and west of Fairbury. Fairbury, we need you in your tornado shelter. Weston and Chenoa, Avoca, Pontiac, and eventually Sonneman, 47 and 116. There's the four-way stop in that area. This storm heading in that general direction and will continue to move off to the east. We'll zoom in a little bit here and show you the rotation signature real fast. And I think it still is going to show up very much just on the north side of 24 on the county line, about 3 miles to the west of Chenoa. That storm still a very dangerous storm as it carries to the north and east in Livingston County. And that's for one of our tornado warning storms. Likely some strong winds now in Bloomington Normal. You'll notice right here on the southeast side of Bloomington, starting to see some of those reds and greens come together. It looks like there may be a little bit of some convergence there, and so that may very well be some strong winds in Downs and in Bloomington Normal. And we'll pop back to the radar imagery to show you here what we're seeing. There very well may be a developing signature in there too, so that's going to be something we watch. And then, in fact, there it is. Look at that new tornado warning for McLean County. Just so you're aware, Amelia, we've had 2 new tornado warnings that we can get posted to digital. That's going to be for Livingston County and this new one for McLean County. This tornado now is going to be very close to Downs, very close to the Bloomington Airport. It will be south and east of Bloomington now. It makes our 3 tornado warnings that we have in the area, and this is going to continue to the north and to the east. You can see on screen here, if you can bring me back full so I can talk about it on camera 1, this tornado now likely near Interstate 74 and US 150, and will be moving to the north and to the east here. Here's where Downs is. There's Bloomington Normal. This is Veterans Parkway. State Farm sits right here. Here's the airport. This will pass just south of the airport. There's a little commercial area south of Route 9 at the airport. There's a movie theater out there. This is southeastern Bloomington, a lot of neighborhoods by the airport. This is heading in that direction to the north and to the east. Will likely cross Route 9, very close to 165. I feel like I'm getting a little deja vu here. We had an earlier tornado warning in this exact same area, and we're going to watch it very closely as it moves to the north and east. 165, Cooksville, Colfax. We got a live look at the airport from, who's that from? Chris. All right, Chris is in Springfield. We'll have him double boxed. He looks like, does he see any damage there? Or is he just looking at, he's just looking at the rain there. Okay, cool. So if he has any damage as well, let me know. But that's in North Springfield. We'll go back to Springfield in a second. This signature now, Myrna, Cooksville, Colfax, Anchor, all the way up towards areas east of Chenoa in northeastern Mclane County. And this one will likely carry itself towards Fairbury, Forest, and Chatsworth in the distance. So now 2 new tornado warnings in parts of central Illinois. Livingston County for the storm near Chenoa, another one in Bloomington. And we now have a new tornado warning. Boy, they're coming in fast here. This is an extension of that tornado warning in Springfield. This is going to be coming up Highway 54 now. This will include Mount Pulaski. It will include Latham. It will not include Warrensburg. This is a Logan County and extreme northern Sangamon County issue. The area of rotation with this storm is now at Highway 54 and the Sangamon-Logan County line. There you can see that hook showing up right there as it carries to the north and to the east. And so we're watching that. We've got our photographer, Chris. He's by the airport watching things. One thing to note, we did get reports of some power outages in North Springfield. And if we can find out if there's any more information on that, that'd be great to know here. But a number of warnings, just 3 new tornado warnings that came out. All right, so we will pull some video now, full screen if we can, some video near Mechanicsburg. And this is of the storm earlier as it came on through. This came from a viewer. And this, Kevin Connor sent this in. Thank you, Kevin, for... I'm sorry, say it again. Can you spell that for me? Shelly Connor. Okay, thank you, Shelly, for sending that in. As we have this storm now, she took this from Mechanicsburg looking to the north. You can see those low clouds in there, and we're continuing to watch this circulation. That circulation now is near Cornland, moving up Highway 54, southeastern Logan County, and that's going to be a concern for us here. Very evident on radar where that's at. You can see it hooking around right here. Your inflow notch is right here. Your rear flank downdraft wrapping around. There's likely a tornado close to being down now on Highway 54, wrapped up in rain, heading for Mount Pulaski, the Highway 121 corridor to the south and east of Lincoln. We know Kevin is out there, and I don't know where Kevin is by chance. And so we're going to watch for his shot. And it looks like Kevin may be east of Lincoln now. I can see him. Kevin, let's talk to you real quick. You're watching that severe thunderstorm warning near Lincoln. Some signs that may be rotating too. Is all of these storms now indicating rotation in the line now along Interstate 55? Tell us more of what you're seeing and where you're at.
Yeah, actually, so what we're looking at is the storm here. The one that you're looking at here is actually the one that would be the new tornado warning. I'm actually looking to my southwest.